Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are the Yerky Boys. I hope everyone's excited for this episode.
Yeah.
Are you excited, Jonathan?
Oh, my full legal name. I'm excited.
Oh, good. I'm happy.
What a week we have. What an episode.
What a
of course
week we have.
We're not discussing a TV episode.
No, we're discussing, well, in a sense, we're discussing a lot of TV episodes, but more specifically, we're discussing this little bookie here, a little bookie book.
That's right. We're back to books, folks.
In a sense.
Books are back.
Meet the Stars of Animorphs, an authorized biography.
I feel like I see the phrase unauthorized biography. I don't know how often I've seen an authorized biography, but I don't read very many biographies, so maybe that is a thing that's seen frequently. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea. And I don't know exactly how much of this episode is going to be us discussing specifically this book and how much of it is going to be kind of using this book as a jumping off point to recap some of our thoughts on the series thus far.
I could talk a lot about this book.
Mm-hmm.
Also calling this a biography is a bit of a stretch.
It is a bit of a stretch, yes.
I suppose technically.
Yeah, it's more a series of like short interviews and fun facts about the show or the series for child fans of the show.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into it. We got a lot of emails that were kind of upset about that we had RFK on the show last week.
Mm-hmm. He's a controversial figure, I know.
Yeah, I'm not. I didn't want to wade through all that muck, so we're just not going to read any of those.
Okay. Yeah, we're not muckrakers over here.
But we did have one email that I think is relevant to the show, generally speaking, that I thought we would start off with.
All right, let's hear it. The sharing.
Okay. Thank you. This email comes to us from Lane. Thanks for listening, everybody. So this episode. Listen, if you're thinking of bowing out now, let me just assure you, this episode is going to be good.
It'll be a good one. You know, we'll get that energy level up.
Yeah. This email subject line is the Homer of it all. Lane writes, "Hi boys," capital B.
Mm-hmm.
After listening to your heated discussions around various subjects for the last TV episode, I'm writing in as requested. Though honestly, you could have found this information easily via a quick Google search, but I digress. Let me pretend to need to use my degree in wildlife science to answer this.
Is that a joke or is that real?
That sounds real to me.
I hope it's real.
Winking tongue out emoji.
Well, that doesn't sound real.
I'll take about as long explaining it as you took arguing about it.
Uh-oh.
I don't know that I like Lane's attitude, to be honest. Anyway, this is that Zoomer sass you hear so much about. The Z-sass, they call it. To refresh listeners, because they may not remember, this is about our passionate, spirited debate about whether or not a dog would be the best choice to chase a car. This podcast is fucking stupid. Stop listening to it. Jesus Christ. What are we doing? All right.
Well, I want to hear what the wildlife sciences degree holder has to say.
Yeah, you could have just said wildlife scientist.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Lane writes...
Are they professional wildlife scientists, or is that just the degree?
I don't know. If you have that degree, that makes you a scientist, doesn't it?
I mean...
Isn't that how it works?
Lane, write in and tell us your career.
I'm an art historian. All right. Lane says, according to this source being Uh, an article from Learberg.com, which says myth and fiction about bloodhounds' tracking abilities. I cannot speak to the reliability of this
So
dog-themed website.
sounds pretty credible to me.
Sure. At the top, it says over 40 years of dog training expertise. So,
Hmm.
you know, that must be good. This says even the dog with arguably one of the best tracking abilities cannot track a person once they've entered a car. There are also too many scents to easily be confused by to give any dog, or other animal, I'm sure, a clean trail to follow a vehicle moving through busy streets. Tracking something by smell is difficult to do with conflicting scents, especially with the motion of multiple vehicles, which would spread out the scent molecules. Even if it were just one vehicle in motion, the scent would be easily lost because it would be stuck in the air, unless Jake, as Homer, decided to pee on the tire. Then perhaps the scent of urine touching the ground may make the trail last longer. Still, that would also degrade. I've been to Toronto and surrounding areas before, and I find it funny you both seem to think Canada is bereft of infrastructure and busy roads. Skeptical emoji. Though I'm not sure or hoping that's more satire than not. Regardless, considering they're trying to emulate the location that the Animorphs series takes place, San Diego, California possibly, I think the point there is moot. Clown emoji. I'm just going to finish this email. Regarding the best morph they could reasonably use for high speed travel, thinking emoji. Well, they've used bugs before to get inside vehicles plenty of times to travel with them easily. If entry prior to movement isn't an option, I believe bird is the next best choice. Birds of prey can travel at various speeds. They linked to a Wikipedia page with bird speeds in flight. Some faster than most cars would go even on a highway. Sustained speed is, of course, a different matter, but either way, in order to keep a more consistent visual on a moving vehicle, I think vision from above would be preferred to vision or scent from below. Birds of prey have excellent vision as well documented in the series, and many of them are excellent at tracking things in motion. Peregrine falcons have to keep an eye on moving prey like pigeons in the sky, so Jake, at least in the books, would have a great option already. Anyhow, all that's to say, sorry, Will, but Homer just doesn't cut it. Nerd face emoji. Hope that helps settle it. Lane.
Yeah, I think that's actually settled it very, very thoroughly. It answers the question perfectly,
Hmm.
which is that
Yeah.
Jake obviously is out there peeing on those tires every single night as
Mm.
Homer, just to make sure that he can track should the opportunity, present itself.
Mm,
Which
mm.
I think settles it.
Maybe he trained Homer, real Homer, just to do that all
Mm.
night.
Mm.
While he's asleep, Homer is out there getting shit done.
I mean,
Yeah.
listen, as regards infrastructure in Canada,
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
I imagine Canada as being similar to upstate New York, where
Mm,
I've lived. And if it's
mm.
not like that, then I don't really care. I still imagine it that way.
Have you've never been to Canada?
I've never been to Canada.
Well, you're missing out. And here we are talking about this show that's so Canada focused.
I know, right?
We should take a trip for an episode.
Yeah, maybe that'll be a special
Ooh,
episode.
yeah, we should visit all the shooting locations. This is the empty warehouse that was the EGS tower or something. Um,
Right, right.
yeah, I have been to Canada. I have been to Toronto. I will just say I'm from New Jersey, and like anything that's not New York or New Jersey to me is just farmland. So that's just how I think of the world.
Yeah.
Toronto's not a come on. It's not a city.
Yeah,
Come on.
yeah. I mean, I don't.
It's cute.
Listen, I'm willing to say Toronto's probably not a city because, like, I live close enough to Philly that when I think city, it's like you kind of have to be, you know,
It's not dirty enough.
right. I mean, that's fair enough, right? Like Chicago, that's a city, right? Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah. I
know,
guess.
but like, yeah, most of these places that call themselves cities, not really, right? Like, when I was living in Ithaca, it was like, this is smaller than the suburb in which I live. I go to Syracuse and I'm like, this is dirty enough to be a city, but is it big enough? No, that
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Anyway, Lane, thank you for your expertise. I do think this puts the issue to bed at last.
Right. I think we've
Um,
established what's going on.
uh-huh. Uh-huh. And yeah, we'll see if there's any more dog chasing shenanigans in season 2. I think really the truth at the end of the day is Brian Renfro needed a job. And I don't know, it's easier to film a dog than it is to film a bird, I guess.
Hmm.
Is it
Yeah.
though? I don't not
Yeah.
really.
I mean, listen, one argument that I will stick with is
Oh
that
boy.
listen, I like seeing a dog chase things. You
Uh-huh.
know, I need a thing to chase a thing for a kid show. Put the dog there, makes you happy, even if it doesn't make sense. You know,
Yeah, because those
I
chase
still
scenes
might
are
choose the
so
dog.
good. It's
The
such a
dog is
there's
running. What, you aren't happy when you see a dog run? I might still choose it even if it wasn't the appropriate choice.
yeah. Usually dogs are running from me because they know I'm gonna catch them and eat them.
Well, absent that last point, yeah, that's the game, right? Like they
I don't
run
really
and you chase
know.
them and then they go in circles and
I don't know what I'm doing. This is a new. I go out on the streets and catch wild dogs and cook them for my supper like an ogre.
I think you're just confused because you're not used to people writing in to tell you that you're the one who's right, and so you don't know what to do about it. You don't
No, I
have a
feel like that.
reaction.
I feel like that's the most common email we get.
I don't know.
It just feels like to me that is usually how it goes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, we did Google their running speed on the show, so we did look that up,
Right. Yeah. So we
and
sort
that
of.
also proved me right.
Well, no, I think that one was also sort of in my favor.
Yeah, I know that you think that. I know that's how you. We all interpret things differently,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that's fine. That's what makes America great.
There's a lot of ways to interpret data, you know.
If you'd like to email us if you have thoughts, not about the dog thing, because that's put to rest now, but something else about Animorphs, email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. Sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. If you like the show, there's more bonus episodes for you for just $5 a month. And why don't we talk about this book? Where do we start with this book? What's your plan?
I mean, obviously, you got to start with the covers, the
Well,
front,
actually,
and probably the
I
back
think
too.
that's maybe getting too far in, to be honest.
All right, where do you start with this book?
Well, we didn't actually say the book was when this book came out, which was
Yes.
1999. So it actually did come out in between the two seasons.
Yes.
Or, and we'll talk about this more later because, everybody loves when we talk about the scheduling of the show. At least that's how it seems to line up based on what we know. Is it seems like it was like right at the end of season 1 that this book came out.
Yeah, and that's part of why we chose to do it here because I didn't know if there were going to be spoilers. And reading through, there is some part in the book where they say like, "Oh, be on the lookout for something in season 2." So it
Right.
seems as though that is the intended effect here.
But here's my big question for you before we start talking about it, because
Hmm.
you have a physical copy of this book, correct?
Yes.
So, when and how did you come into possession of this?
I have had this since I was a child. I probably got it around when it came out just because I wanted all the Animorph stuff. I have no memories of it. Like, I didn't remember anything that it said. I must have read it, maybe only once. I don't remember being a fan of the Animorph series long enough to have still, like, liked it as a TV show by the time this book would have come out, but I guess I got it. I really don't know. I just
Yeah,
have it, and I know I've
I
had it
yeah.
forever.
It's fascinating to me because, like you said, it didn't sound like you were that big a fan of the show. I wasn't sure. I thought maybe you bought this later on. Maybe somebody got it for you as a gift because they're like, oh, he likes Animorphs. Here, this is an Animorph, right? This is what you like.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I think dumb
Mom
little
or
kid me
dad.
was like Animorphs book. I guess I got to get it.
This does seem like the kind of thing I would be all about at the book fair.
Hmm.
But yeah, interesting. All right. Okay, so no real definitive answer on that one.
Absolutely no clue. I just know I have it.
The
Uh,
Elemist placed it on your bookshelf one night.
right, just to make sure we wouldn't forget it for our
One
podcast.
day, this will be important to you. All right.
Well,
M- The cover.
yes.
We should say this book was written by Marie Morial and Randy Reisfeld.
Yes. So 2 writers on this book.
Now, I looked into them. I don't know if you did.
No, I didn't bother.
Marie Morial was, and I think maybe still is, like a lead editor at Scholastic.
Okay.
So she basically is just, this was just like a default.
Mhm.
This is a book that can be written by an editor, you know?
Yeah, I
Um,
buy that.
if you look at Amazon, you can see some other books that she is credited on, and it's a lot of like she's done a lot of kids biographies of like Taylor Swift and Pharrell and soccer stars and the cast of Girl Meets World, like this is a thing she's well versed in this world. The other person, Randy Reisfeld, I think has just done a lot of other like teen kind of books. She did books based on Clueless and Sabrina the Teenage Witch back in the day.
You say based
So,
on, what do you mean? Like, is it
I
mostly like
mean,
adaptations of TV shows, or is
I
it
think
just like not
it's
related to this at all?
I think it's not adaptation like in those
Hmm.
specific cases it's like a story in that world, not like a specific episode, but
Okay.
like here's a book with a unique exclusive Sabrina story.
Okay. I'm just trying to figure out if there's some common theme that this falls into, or if it's just, stuff.
Like teen TV shows,
Okay.
TV shows with teens in them.
Sure, yeah.
Anyway, and Animorphs actually there's one teen, maybe two. I think there's only
Uh,
one,
at least 2.
at least two. Okay.
Yes. There might be a 19-year-old. I'm not sure. Jake's like right on the cusp of 19 and 20. I should say Shawn.
Yeah, but that's what I thought. Oh, we'll get to their ages as we
Okay,
go. We
okay.
don't need
Yeah,
to
we'll get
figure
to it.
this
We'll
out
get
now.
to it.
Okay. So the cover is the 5 kids.
Not Axe. He's not in this book.
It's actually funny because right in the spot above Rachel where there would be space for another person
Yeah.
is a little a little what would you even call that? A little thing saying includes 16 incredible pages of color photos, and it
Yeah.
looks very much like this could be like a Mike Wazowski situation. Axe was
Right.
right there, and they just stuck this on his face.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's like a little blue and green swirl, which is kind of the, I don't know, pattern going on around the outside border of this cover. No, it is so weird. Why is Axe not in this, like, at all? Like, he doesn't have a section. He's not in any of these pictures. They, like, briefly mention that Axe is there at some point. It's as though Axe was supposed to be here for season 2 and not here yet, except that he was all over the place. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. There is some serious Axe erasure going on in this book. The only
Mhm.
thing I can think is that it is some kind of a production contract thing where they were like, if he's in the intro, if we consider him a main cast, then we have to pay him more, and we can only afford to pay 5 kids.
Hmm.
So we're just calling him a guest star, and he's just not. They don't want to consider him one of the main people. It is strange, but I can't imagine any other reason.
Yeah, it kinda sucks.
Yeah. They're all so the photo is all of them looking very serious, looking
Mhm.
up from a gray background that's very strong middle school photo vibes.
Right?
Uh, they're looking real serious. They're looking like they're wearing basically the kind of stuff they wear in the show. Cassie's got overalls, so
Mhm. Cassie has hair up, even though
hair
they
up.
seem to be really going for the hair down thing these days by the end of season 1.
Yeah, they didn't know. Marco's got his purple sweatshirt. I think we've seen that.
Yes, yeah, we have seen that.
Yeah,
Um,
Tobias is a boy.
yeah, they didn't put a bird in here. Now it is kind of interesting here. They've put Marco front and center here on this, right? Like he
Mm.
is right up at the front, which is where you might normally think to put Jake since he's like the leader guy, and he does
I
the intro and all of that
True.
stuff.
Well, Jake is still in the top center, so he
Hmm.
sort of still has like a position above everyone else.
I guess
But
that's true. It's just he's like behind, and it feels like
yeah,
when I look at this, my eye is drawn to Marco here.
hmm. Yeah. I mean, any photo with Marco, my eye will be drawn to Marco. I
Sure,
don't think
sure.
we're not a unbiased source.
That's true.
It also says in the corner, it looks like it has the same or very similar
Hmm.
watermark as on the books. Watch Animorphs on Nickelodeon TV.
Yes.
Watch Animorphs TV on Nickelodeon.
Yeah. Now, on the back of this book, there's
Mm.
another picture that I quite like.
Yes, I have that as well. Yes.
Um, so we have a similar thing, similar phrasing. They're all still looking up, but it's kind of from the side, except it looks like probably Bongo the lion is like superimposed in front of them or something. There's a lion doing what looks like a yawn, like right in front of them, and there is no way that he is actually there unless that is some kind of fake lion replica head. Like, there's
There's
not
a
even
group
room for the
photo.
lion's body.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Cassie is on top of him, like riding him like a horsey. Um, yeah. Yeah. It's he kind of looks like he's going ah! The sound I think he's making.
I love him.
Yeah, yes. I mean, the back of the book gives you a pretty good idea of what you're in for here.
Yeah, this is we're gonna learn about all of our favorite actors who and stories from on set. If I may quote, "Who accidentally stuck his fingers up a tiger's nose? Who fed a hawk a chicken leg? Who was completely, quote, terrified auditioning in front of a television camera? Who likes a certain type of, quote, turkey? And whose funniest moment on the set involved another actor, quote, flying, sort of? Get the answers to these questions and more."
Those last two questions I don't recall the answers to.
Uh, Yeah, there's 2 of these I don't remember either, but the turkey one is it's Cassie. She likes traveling, and she was in
Oh,
Turkey, the country.
that's what they mean. That sucks. That sucks. That's stupid. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, this book is not very long. I think we'll cover it section by section, and we may more or less just like read through it, like
Yeah.
we would with a regular book, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really take notes on this. I was just like,
I didn't
I
take
can
notes.
open to the pages and
Yeah,
we'll see it.
yeah. It's not that hard. It's not that long to get through. We'll remember everything we wanted to say.
Mhm.
It is interesting. I mean, just this book's existence.
Yeah.
This show wasn't a huge hit, obviously, because otherwise it wouldn't have been ended.
Mhm.
Um, I imagine they must have been writing this or working on this, I guess, during production. I mean, this must have had a pretty quick turnaround because it references them being on the show and they talk about, like you said, oh, look forward to season two.
Mhm.
But I don't. It feels like if they knew the show was struggling, they wouldn't have written it, unless they thought, oh, this will save the show.
Yeah, like, that is possible, or this was their last chance to get something like this, that, like, Scholastic was like, "We gotta get a book about the show out to
Uh,
capitalize on that before it's too late."
You know what? I bet it was part of the deal. I bet
Mm.
Scholastic's deal was if you do a show based on our book, you got to give us a book because we make money off books. Um,
Yeah. I mean, I can believe that this book has a quick turnaround time on it. The
yeah, I could write this book in a day. That's how
Yeah.
long it probably took.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not it's not, well written.
It's not even written. It's
Yeah,
like reading a playbill. It's not a. I don't know. We'll
yeah.
get into it,
Yeah, it feels
but
very like off the dome explanation, and then like, okay, how am I going to tie these snippets of these interviews together? And it's just like very schlocky. Like, I'm trying to be cool for the '90s teens type of writing style.
I also found it somewhat sad to
Hmm.
read. because there's a lot of these are young kids in these parts that they're writing about. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of mentions of them being like, "Oh man, my career in acting and what do I want to do next? Movies and this and that and oh, my first TV show and how I got this part and my whole life's ahead of me." It's like, "No, it's not, buddy."
Yeah, there won't be any more of that.
Yeah, I
Well
know how this goes and I'm sorry, man.
well,
That
maybe
is
they'll be
not working out.
maybe some of them ended up in places that weren't
Yeah.
TV or movies, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I did look back at some of their IMDb's as I was reading it just to be like, it really felt like an Arrested Development Ron Howard's narrator moment at times.
Uh, yeah, no,
But
I was like, I'll rely on John to look at the IMDb's here, but I do remember enough of them to be like, hmm,
yeah. Well, shall we begin at the introduction?
sure.
No dedication page in here.
No, none of that. We don't have that.
No. They
Just
should
a
have got
little
Ellen
title
Jarrow to do
page.
this.
Where's yeah, that's true. Why don't I have an inner cover? David Mattingly.
Yeah. No flip book animation.
I know. I mean, I guess we got our 16 pages of full color, whatever.
We do. Look forward to that, listeners.
I'm looking forward.
Look forward to hearing us describe photographs.
I think that's going to be the best part of the whole episode.
So this introduction
Hmm.
basically sums up what the Animorphs is. Now, the whole book is, I found, somewhat confusing because it feels like at times they are aware of Animorphs, the book series, and sometimes the way they describe things, I'm questioning whether that's actually the show or if they're sort of describing also how the books are, which are very similar, but in many ways pretty different. Do you know what I mean? Like it almost
Yeah.
feels like sometimes the way they describe certain things are like, oh yeah, that is how it is in the books, but that didn't really happen on the show.
Yes. And for a more quantifiable version of that, at the end there are uh little informational bits, and some of them are just like, oh, you know, let's say the names of the parents, and it'll be like, okay,
Hmm.
that was the name of the parent on the show, even though the character had a real name, I'm pretty sure, in the books by this point. Oh, but then this parent didn't have a real name, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it'll mix
Yeah.
things from the book and from the show very explicitly. It really feels like the person writing this kind of, it was like, okay, I vaguely know what the show is, but I also know what the book. I'm trying to figure out what to write here, right? Like, this
It's
isn't somebody
like,
who worked on the show writing what they did for the show, right? It's somebody trying to piece
yeah.
together how to explain it from both.
It's as if you asked one of us to write the intro or whatever, and we would just be like, "Oh, like I've read the books and the show, so like they're pretty close." So you kind of just write what's in your brain
Hmm.
if you didn't like do any actual research to make sure you weren't doing any overlapping information
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, it's a bit confusing, or it's stuff that's like, you know, like they'll mention something that's sort of from the outside lore that hasn't really come up in the show. So it's like,
Yeah.
wait, is that the case in the show too, or are you just saying that because that's just sort of we just know that's how it is? I
Yeah.
don't
And
know.
and there are other times where it almost feels like they are like trying to give like taglines for the show rather than descriptions of what actually happens. Like right here at the beginning, they're talking about oh, they have to fight against the end of the world as we know it. And then it says, quote, and that's in addition to having to deal with grades, parents, siblings, clothes, zits, other friends, and the ongoing quest for significant others. And I'm like, what? When does that happen?
Yeah,
Like,
none
it
of that
feels they were like,
happens.
oh, it's a teen drama, so that must be part of the show, right? I don't know
That
that it.
feels like
What?
I need to have a certain word count.
Yeah.
So here's, they're kids, so this is the stuff kids deal with. It's not on the
Yeah.
show,
Like,
but
grades? That comes up in the books, I guess, never in the show. Siblings? Maybe technically they
well,
have.
yeah, Tom. I mean, Tom.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I wasn't even thinking about time. I was thinking about. Because that's a yerk. Right, they don't have
Well,
to
you
deal
know.
with just their siblings in addition to it. That's what Rachel does with Jordan and Sarah, but,
Hmm.
Zitz? What the fuck is that? Other friends, you mean Melissa? And what
No,
is
what
this
about
ongoing quest for significant others? Like, what the
yeah, that is the most just like, oh, I just want a funny way to say, dating
Yeah.
kids, but they also
But
it
they
just
don't even
makes it
do that in the
sound
show. Like, they barely care
yeah.
in the show, and in the books, even though it's there, it's like, Kay Applegate clearly doesn't really wanna do it.
Yes, the way that they write it out in such a verbose manner makes it sound like that's a significant part of the show. It's and also just calling them significant others, it sounds like what
Yeah.
is this, like a fucking Jane Austen novel? Like, that's not what the fuck this is.
Yeah, I mean, and
Bizarre.
everything like this is kind of written in that cadence. Like okay, here's another great line from like the first page. If you're just catching the Anna itch and don't know the entire sitch, check it out.
Really good. I if you have the Anna itch for more than 4 hours, you should consult a doctor. Um, it does I mean, I think maybe we knew this, but there is some info here where it says that Animorphs is on every Friday night in the Nickel Ozone, and,
Yeah.
it gets repeated Saturday night during Snick.
Now, I think part of that additional information we saw implied that by the end of season one, that time slot might have changed. But
Hmm.
I don't even know. I have come to believe that nobody, including these sources from the time, had any idea when this show came out.
If it came out at all.
If it came out at all, maybe it was all a dream.
One thing I do know is that tuning into Animorphs is the coolest choice you can make. It's the show everyone at school is already talking about or will be soon. I like
Mm,
how they covered their ground there. They're like, but what if they're not? Oh, they say they will be soon.
yeah,
That'll
just
reassure them.
yeah, they definitely will be. It's not going to get canceled after 3 more episodes.
They will be soon.
Oh man.
Then there's the section, the backstory,
Hmm.
which is part, this is a subheading still in the introduction here,
Yeah.
which,
This
I mean, this
is
is,
like the description
yeah.
of what happens in the Elfangor scene that takes like 30 to 40 pages of lore dump in book 1. This is just here in 2. Um
It is very jarring to read them describing how, like, and then Homer took off, a thing that's not in the book,
yeah.
but like to read it feels wrong. It's like, that's not what happens. You're describing something else.
Yeah, it is odd because I feel like, and I'd have to go back and rewatch episode 1 of the show for it, but it does feel like there is a little bit more detail here than was in the show, and maybe some of that was from the books. But then yeah, they have information like Homer that was like, oh, this is what happened in the show. It really is that mix kind of all the way through.
Yeah, I think that they just needed more to write, so they just took from other sources. I do like they refer to Siberia as the video arcade.
Ooh, I didn't even remember that part. I don't know where that
Yeah,
is.
they're
That's
hanging
pretty
out at the
cool.
video arcade.
That's pretty cool. I guess that's what it's called, a video arcade.
As opposed to an audio arcade. What's the
Like
I guess arcade, doesn't
arcade,
that
yeah.
mean like a it's like another word that sucks. There's like a non-fun kind of arcade,
Mm,
right?
as opposed to a shitty arcade.
Isn't it like it's like a shopping center or something? I think is like an old, you can call it an arcade. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. One line that stood out to me here that I really enjoy as just it makes it sound so bad. Um, is it says, okay, the whole story sounded crazy. Who'd believe it? But the longer they stayed at the crash site, the more the terrible truth sank in, especially after an actual Yerk appeared and repeated what Elfangor had just said.
Yeah, what the
And it
fuck
just
does that mean?
yeah, no, like it's fucking I don't know. Like I picture this and I'm just imagining Elfangor giving them a lore dump and they're like, "How could that be true?" And then Visser 3 shows up and says, "Yes, yes, that's true. We are here to take over the world. That's he's right. And you can morph now." Just-
Yeah, it's clear that they wrote it, this shouldn't have been an especially, but they just this is just how a bad writer writes for children.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like
No, it
not.
it feels almost insecure in a way. Like we gotta make it sound hip, right? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
kids
yeah.
gotta like think this is so cool, and it's not gonna sell itself.
It's got to be snappy. It's got to be that. It's got to have that Joss Whedon flair.
Mm. Yeah, it was all the rage at this time.
You know, we'll come back to that.
We will. We will.
Okay, then the next section is the the real deal,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
which is really just telling you, like, by the way, these are actors. It's not real.
Right. Yeah, they gotta
we
have. They had
we
to
get a
have. Yeah. It's not
yeah, we got to.
really.
It's not real. It's not real. We get a quote from Deborah Forte, who we've talked about before, the EP.
Mm-hmm.
That's executive producer for The Layman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm a Hollywood type. And she talks about how important it was to cast, and she says they saw hundreds of kids in the auditions, which
Mm-hmm.
I think is just, I think that's probably just normal. That probably means like they saw 20 kids for each character.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably like 100. Yeah, hundreds.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then they introduce their names, and we'll go through them one at a time.
Yeah. I
I
guess.
think that's it.
I think that's where we're going now. I mean, even starting here though, there is. I feel like throughout there's kind of an effort to talk up the show. Like it's not like okay, so here's what the process was like. It's like, oh yeah, we saw hundreds of kids and we knew we had to get it exactly right, which is why we were so happy that we got the perfect choice for everybody. Like it's that kind of language throughout, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's written like, when you watch like the behind the scenes of the Harry Potter movies, and it's like, oh, then we found Daniel Radcliffe,
Mhm.
because a lot of people really do love Daniel Radcliffe and think, oh wow, yeah, he was perfect for Harry Potter. Nobody thinks that about any of these
Yeah.
kids.
No.
Even if you think they're good, I think some of them are good. Nobody's like, oh yeah, oh man, the magic, the cast of the Goonies or whatever. Like, wow, I can't believe they got them the right ones.
Yeah,
It's
you do see the Harry Potter actors, or at least some of them, around post Harry Potter. Whereas this, it's like, yeah, I don't.
I went with
Mm,
two
mm,
Chris Columbus movies by accident. I didn't mean to. Not Christopher Columbus, Chris Columbus, the director of Harry Potter, and he worked on the Goonies.
mhm. I'm
He
glad you're
didn't
excited.
direct. He didn't direct the Goonies. Did he? Did he write it? Yeah, he wrote it. He wrote the Goonies.
Okay,
Richard Donner directed the Goonies. He also did Superman.
I'm glad we got that cleared up.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so then we're gonna go through each Animorph and learn a little bit about them.
Well, each actor. I mean, the
Yeah, that's
Animorphs too.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Yeah. What do you think about the order they did this in? So, chapter one is Christopher Ralph, who plays Tobias. Is there
Yeah,
what is the method behind this? It doesn't start with Jake. Tobias is arguably the character with the least screen time in the whole show.
yeah. The order is very strange to me. I don't really know what to make of it.
Is it alphabetical? I
Christopher
didn't-
Ralph. Well, no,
no, it's
because it
not.
ends on Marco.
Yeah. Um, I think they kind of had a sense that Christopher Ralph, they wanted to be the heartthrob. They thought, oh, we got the
Hmm.
next Jeremy Jason McCall on our hands here.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. There are a number of places in Tobias's chapter where they're kind of into. They do this with all of them, but I feel like they spend more time on it with Tobias, where they're just like, so what kind of girls are you into? If you if some girl is like crushing on you and she's like, I could be Tobias's heartthrob or whatever.
Yeah, but each chapter basically follows the same formula. There's a little biography of the character,
Hmm.
then there's a little biography of the actor and how they got into acting.
Hmm.
Then it's like, how did you get cast on Animorphs? Then it's talk about working with animals or whatever, being on the show, and then what's your deal with boys or girls? That's like basically the formula for each one of these
Yeah,
chapters.
yeah.
Um,
So
so
to
that's what you have
start
to look
off,
forward to.
I mean, yes, that's what we're going through. I mean, to start off right off the bat, and I think they do this with most of the actors, when they start talking about the character, it really feels like so the first thing they want to do is, we don't get the interviewer questions, but I have the sense that the interviewer is asking, so tell me about how you are like your character. Right,
Mm.
because they kinda do, like, a character bio for Tobias, and then they say, "Well, there are some ways in which Christopher Ralph is like Tobias, but other ways in which he's not." But it feels like they're kind of hammering home the, like, "Oh, man, they're it's kind of like the Tobias you know and love, but in real life," you know?
It's written exactly how I would write a book report in 5th grade. Like, in some ways, this thing is true. In other ways, it is not. I will explore in the following paragraph. It's
Right, right.
so shitty. Yeah, so Christopher Ralph is a lot like Tobias, basically because he was bullied and didn't fit in as a kid.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about that is that, like, reading a little bit between the lines, it doesn't feel like he was bullied or didn't fit in more than average, right?
Mm,
Like he's kind of it feels like yeah, he sort of didn't fit in and maybe he had one or two issues with bullies, but not to an extent that makes him an outlier, but they really want to talk about that aspect of it because that would make him like
right.
Tobias if it was true.
Yeah, this is like clearly they asked Christopher Ralph, "Did you ever get bullied as a kid?" They didn't
Mhm.
ask the other kids that because that doesn't matter to their characters.
Right.
They didn't ask Jake like, "What's it like being a funny Hispanic guy?" I don't know.
They didn't ask Jake what it's like being a funny Hispanic guy?
Yeah, because it's from Marco. They wouldn't ask Jake that. That's what I'm saying. They did. I think they
Okay.
did ask Marco that.
Okay, sure, yeah.
I think that was the lead question.
Sure, sure.
That's what I want to ask him.
Well,
Anyway,
maybe you'll find out what it was like
maybe
in
I'll
this
find
book.
out. Also, a lot of it, I mean, again, remember, the thing that's so ridiculous about this entire book is that
Mhm.
the oldest one of these kids, I believe, is 21.
Yeah.
So it's like they try to set it up like, oh, learn about their lives and how they feel about acting and all this stuff. It's like they don't know anything. These are these are people with no real life experience.
Yeah, I mean,
There's
I will say this, I do believe that these are real interviews because as I'm reading Christopher Ralph here, I do feel like, oh yeah, this is a 21-year-old who doesn't really have any experience trying to talk as though maybe he does. You know what I mean?
mm,
Like he's kind of like, what advice would you give to high schoolers? And it's just like the most generic. Oh yeah, like yeah, after high school, it's not like high school anymore. It's cool. You don't have to worry too much about it. It's like okay, sure. Like you don't really know shit about shit,
yeah, 12-year-old. What's your advice for 9-year-olds? Like who
right?
gives a shit? Who fucking
Listen, I mean,
cares?
the book is for 9-year-olds, so maybe they give a
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
What am I gonna
Yeah, I
think when
mean,
I'm 12, man? I don't know.
yeah, if I read this when I was a kid, I would have been like, "Holy shit, these guys are so cool and adult." Wow.
Yeah,
Um,
or maybe not. Like having read it as a kid, I have no memory of it, so it clearly
well,
didn't make
I'm
an
sure you
impact
did.
on me.
I'm sure you thought they were cool.
Sure.
Two things that I repeatedly found jarring as I read this book. Number one, like I knew the show was in Canada, but just constantly reading about how they're all from Canada, it's just like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, damn, they're all fucking Canadian as hell. It's crazy. Um,
Yeah, no, well,
with
except
one
for one of them
exception,
we'll
one
find out,
one
but
exception. But the other thing was just seeing their. We're talking about how young they are, but seeing when they were born, it's an odd thing because we're watching this show
mhm.
now, and I'm thinking of them as kids, but in reality, they're like 10 to 15 years older than I am.
Yeah.
It's like this feels weird. It's like I'm time traveling or something. I don't know what to do with it. They're old, but they're young.
It is strange.
Anyway.
You have to actually do math to figure out how young they are because they feel old.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure every single one of these, kids said that they didn't like math.
That is a common theme that we're gonna find. Yes. I like. Okay, so let's stick with Christopher Ralph here.
Mhm.
Some of the highlights I think of his story.
Okay.
I like when he says he was a voracious reader and
Mhm.
mentions there was a mystery series he really liked. He can't remember the name. It wasn't
Uh
the Hardy Boys. and that's it. The editor, they
That's
didn't
all he's got.
inquire. They didn't have the internet. I mean, they did, but I guess they didn't go to a library. Nobody figured out what it was. They just printed, I don't know what it is. That's good enough for the book. Fascinating. He says he doesn't like math because one time he was reading math and he threw up in his textbook for no reason.
Right, right. Like, what a
Okay.
weird what is that?
Very strange. Very, very
I
strange.
mean, you know what? Maybe that's how a theater kid describes not liking math, right? Like, as opposed to,
Mm.
like, actually they're just like, "No, I threw up at an early age, and that was just a sign that it wasn't for me."
Right. Yeah. He makes it a little funny. Again, it's like I don't blame these kids because they have 5 stories, so they're going to tell them. Like they
Right.
just don't have a life to talk about. So you say like, "Oh, the time I fell asleep in gym class or whatever the fuck."
Yeah, I mean, it is, part of it is certainly, I'm sure they're asking them a lot about their like school experience because this is for children who are still in school. But it is kind of jarring to see them all have have school stories that are like interesting enough to tell. Because like in theory, I could tell stories from when I was in school, but it would just like not occur to me, and I wouldn't care that much.
Yeah. Well, if you were pressed and you were closer to that age, you
Yeah,
might dig something up.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, if I was 21, I'd have plenty of it. So.
Also, these are Canadian schools, so it's not even
Yeah, this
interesting.
fucking God, when he the transfers to fucking high school and it's called Prince of Wales Collegiate High School, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on in Canada? Jesus Christ.
Didn't it? They say at one point that in Canada they have 13 school years before college
I
instead of
think it said
12?
that I thought it said that like only that one area did.
It's
Like it felt
fucking
like distinct to that
bizarre.
one person and not
Yeah, I didn't look it up, but it
I
sounds
don't know.
crazy.
Sure.
I don't know. There's another insane anecdote from Christopher Ralph's life.
Mhm. Mhm.
Once his girlfriend told him he'd look better if he bulked up, so he
Yeah.
began weightlifting. Big mistake. I put on 50 pounds really fast, he remembers with a laugh. I just looked fat. So I stopped and got rid of all that muscle really quickly. What you're more in tune
I don't
exercise and fitness. What is it I'm assuming at the age of like between 15 and 18, he started weightlifting, gained 50 pounds really fast, but it wasn't muscle, and then he just lost it all also really fast.
well it
Explain this to me.
I don't know. I mean, it feels like what he's describing here is that he put on the muscle, and he definitely it was definitely muscle, right? It wasn't fat, right? No, 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 no. He was strong, but then it made him look fat. It didn't make him look strong, so he just stopped doing it and lost it. I don't know
Like
what
his
to make of any of this because, like, listen, when you are around the age of 15 to 16, you can just put on muscle like that. Like you just get strong without trying. If you put like any effort into it, you will get strong in a way that you just can't do when you're older. But
Mm.
like I don't know what to make of I got really strong and muscular, but then I decided not to because it didn't look good. Like what? I don't
Yeah.
huh?
So I just went like delete muscle.
I realized that the heartthrob sensation was looking kinda twinky, and I didn't wanna you know what I mean? I didn't wanna be I don't get that. Um, I mean, I
Hmm.
guess he's bulking specifically for aesthetics here, I guess, because like, I never did that shit, like, even when I was strong, I never like, I was doing it so that I could be strong. Uh I
Yeah.
don't know. It feels very weird to me to be, like, very strong and fit and be like, "I don't like that. I'm gonna not do it anymore." Like, what? It
He
feels
wasn't
really
into
good to
it.
be strong.
See that I do disagree with you on that.
Hmm.
I think it feels good to just be a big tub of lard.
Listen, it feels better to do the things that make you a tub of lard, but actually being
Mm,
strong feels good.
mm. Yeah,
Like,
it's just not worth it.
I almost wonder if he was just like, "I'm too lazy to keep this shit up," but then he was like, "I need an excuse that doesn't make me sound lazy.
Well,
I didn't look good enough."
m maybe he just did it badly, like, maybe he
Yeah.
didn't have the right routine, and maybe he actually did like, maybe he was eating too much to try
Mhm.
to gain the mass and that he didn't exercise enough. I don't
And he
fucking
actually
know.
did get fat. He did
Yeah,
the
maybe he did. He did
he
Go
did like
Max or
yeah,
whatever.
he did fucking go mad and he bulked
Matt.
up and didn't yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what the fuck we're talking about.
What else? Tobias, Christopher also talks about how he skipped gym to study for a test and got detention for it. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't again, that feels like a "were you ever in trouble" story because it's like, "Oh, the one time I got detention, I was doing" I'm like, what are you even what is the point of this story?" Right? Like, why are you who
We
ca like, you
need
weren't in
something
real
to say.
trouble.
We
Like, I
have to
would
say something about this kid.
like, if you were it's like I would not, be saying like, "Oh, I was a bad kid who got in detention," even though I was in detention all the time, but it was just because I was late every day. Like, who cares? It's not like
Yeah.
you're not in real trouble, who gives a shit?
You can really feel the writer of this book straining to make this sound interesting.
Right,
And
right.
it's just none of it is interesting on the face of it. It's just a kid being like, "Yeah, I wasn't that good in this class. Yeah, I had some friends. I didn't like going to parties." It's
Yeah.
like just talking to any 19-year-old. It's not interesting. It's not like, oh man, it's not like, oh, his uncle was Francis Ford Coppola and he fucking went to Italy or something. Like there's nothing out of the ordinary. It's just a regular ass kid.
Yeah, like, the most interesting thing about this guy is that, like, he's only 21 and he's, like, actually got this, relatively large role playing this character on this TV show that people do remember, even though it turned out to be not that good and it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But they're like, "Well, but people already know about him being on the show, so, like, how did you get here? What were your plans? What were your goal?" Well, he wanted to be an actor, I guess, and I guess he got this role. Now he
Yeah.
lives in an apartment. How about this right here, where they're talking about going forward, and he says, "I like sort of layered, interesting, darker roles. Guys that are a
Mm.
little weird with not just the same typical story that everyone has." Uh, like Edward Scissorhands. A lot of people don't get that movie, but I do.
I loved that. I love that he says that. And that is the best. Also, just so in 1999, you could say that.
Yeah. A lot
It
of
bec-
people don't get that movie, but I do.
but there was a it was more if you were one of those kids who liked Tim Burton,
Mhm.
there weren't you didn't know how to contact the rest of your kind.
Right.
So you did feel like only you get it. um
Uh,
but yeah, it's Christopher Ralph maybe I think maybe he should have played Donnie Darko.
mm, that
That
could have
would be
been
good.
fun.
Yeah,
Why
and
didn't
then
he ever take off? Like, he does have some kind of was it just the show sucked too much and he didn't have the
I mean,
drive to push
why
through it, or
most people don't take off. I think that's the simple. It's as simple as that.
I guess. Yeah, I don't know, it just felt like this is, like, a relatively large role for a 21-year-old new actor to have, and it's not like he
Yeah,
doesn't have like, we've talked about it before, like, he does have a kind of presence to him.
yeah, yeah. It is. You mentioned him living in an apartment. I think there's maybe one or two other kids who say similar things. That yeah, when he was 19, he moved to Toronto on his own, doing odd jobs. And now maybe he's 21 now. Is it 2 years later, or is he 20 now? I don't know.
I
Maybe he's
think he's
19 still.
21 here.
He is 21. Um, just the idea that he wasn't even an actor yet. That
Mhm.
in 1999, I can't fathom that anymore. Even then, I couldn't fathom a
Yeah.
19-year-old just being like, "I'm gonna go live on my own in a city, in like a major city, and just get jobs and survive."
Well, it's
It's
because
like,
you can't actually survive like, that's not how rent works these days.
yeah,
Like,
it's
you
just
cannot
like,
do odd
wow,
jobs to
right?
yeah, not unless you're living with, like, 5 other people.
Yeah, he's like, "I washed windows, paved driveways."
Yeah, that's
Like,
some boomer shit, what the fuck?
it's
Yeah,
insane.
just go mow lawns so you can afford rent, it's easy.
Yeah, it says at 20 he got an agent and started auditioning for stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Um, What else? He also is really into U2. He thinks Bono is the coolest guy on earth, and one of his acting monologues he
Mm-hmm.
did was based on something Bono talked about in a concert. Cool and mysterious.
Now, I think he also says somewhere, I'm not sure it's here or it might be later on, where he says, I like all kinds of music except top 40.
Yeah, that might be his little thing at the end. Yeah, all kinds of music, not top 40, but
Yeah.
Bono,
But Bono, yeah. Well, that's kind of
the
underground and
underground stuff.
yeah.
Now, this is important. He has a cat.
Mm-hmm.
The cat's name is Pepper, R.I.P., because Pepper's almost certainly deceased.
Yeah, I mean, that would be like a world record, probably.
So that's pretty sad, but you know what? I like that. He's my favorite cast member because he has a cat named Pepper.
Yeah, is he the one who said, like, I like, Animorphs taught me that cats were cool or something, and I didn't like them before because I thought they were whiny, but then I decided that I like them or something?
Yeah, I don't think it was Animorphs though. I think just
Okay.
having Pepper is what did that. But yes, he said
Okay.
that.
N I'm not sure what to make of that either, because the implication here is that he thought cats were whiny, but then he had one and he was like, "Oh, I guess they're not." But, cats are pretty whiny, that's part of the appeal.
Every cat has a different personality.
Dogs are pretty whiny too, that's part of the appeal of, like, any pet is that they're really whiny and needy. Like, that's why you they
Yeah.
come bother you, and then you get annoyed with them, and then you come bother them and, like, shove your fingers all over their mouth, and then
Oh, okay.
that's, like, the point.
Right, 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 right,
You
right,
know,
right,
bother each other.
right, right,
I
right,
don't
right,
know.
right, right, right. Anyway, um, another fun. Here's something that I found pretty weird, just because it came up 2 or 3 times. They're
Mhm.
talking about what foods they like. Also, the way this is written is so stupid. They're talking about his home. It says, he may be at home a lot, but that doesn't
Oh,
mean
yeah.
he's much of a housekeeper. In other words, the cupboard at this boy's house and the fridge are pretty hurtin'.
Fucking apostrophe after the N.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. And he says bagels are his usual breakfast, but if he could cook, it'd be bacon and eggs. You don't need to know how to cook to make bacon and eggs, my boy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Just
like, I don't fucking I would eat fucking bagels for breakfast rather than but, like, I could make bacon and eggs if I wanted
yeah,
to, I'm just fucking lazy.
I do both. I alternate.
Okay.
We should answer all these questions too. We should have written our own for us.
Oh my
See if it's
god.
more or less depressing than theirs. All right, now let's get to the juicy stuff here.
Yeah, what kinda girls does he like?
Yeah, he has his own very special effect around girls, instant attraction. Wow. It's so funny how they write about all the dating stuff in this book
Mhm.
as because all they cannot in any way approach actual attraction or sexuality. So it's all just like, oh, I like girls who are nice, and oh man, they have to be pretty and they have to be funny and like, oh, a kiss is like the most they'll talk about. Oh, a kiss. That's as far as they can go.
Yeah, every time they're like every single one of them's like, "Oh, it's nice if she's pretty, but really I'm looking for a good personality. I want somebody who's, funny and smart and nice." And I'm like, "Wow, funny, smart, and nice, huh? You really have a special, unique type. Nobody's like that. Nobody's out here being like, I want someone funny and smart and nice. Wow. You
But
sure
it's
are who
also
the fuck is that?"
again, what do we these kids have probably had like one boyfriend or girlfriend,
Right?
if that in their lives. Like they don't know
Yeah,
what their type
they
is.
have
What
no
are they supposed to
idea.
say?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He tries to explain what it's like to date in Newfoundland.
Yeah.
He says some weird thing about how everybody's scared to express their feelings. I don't know
Everyone's
if
too
this is a
repressed or
Canadian
some shit.
thing.
It might
I
be.
don't.
I wouldn't be shocked.
I guess, yeah.
I like it
Anyway.
better in Toronto where everybody's fucking going crazy and having sex. I don't like out in Newfoundland, St. John's or whatever, where everybody's just a little shut in loser.
All right. Anyway, Christopher Ralph, he's excited for the future and he's living the good life right now.
He's hyped. He's got all these roles that he wants to get into, this type he wants to play. I'm sure things will go really well for him.
It
Do
really is. I mean,
do you wanna tell me what, he goes on to do after this?
well, so Christopher Ralph actually did have pretty steady work and is still
Okay.
acting.
Okay, so there you
You know,
go.
he's never had like another role like this. I mean, like this is it's not like that great of a role,
Uh,
but but he has been in some bit parts here and there. Like I said, he's still his last thing he was in was 2023, which was like
okay.
one episode of a show. So before that, actually, he hadn't worked for a decade. So I don't really know how frequently he's acting, but I don't know. He did it
Okay.
for a while. He
So
did it.
he's still washing windows and paving driveways, but getting the occasional acting gig from his agent.
Also, by the way, on his IMDb page,
Mhm.
it's it mentions that his favorite singer and band are Bono and U2, and his favorite movie is Edward Scissorhands. It's like they literally took it from this book.
Yeah, they probably did. Although, to be fair, if your favorite band at 40 is your favorite band at 20, that's pretty normal, I think. Just be like,
Yeah,
"Listen, I settled in and fucking I just wish I was 20 again."
it might still be true. All right.
So,
Next.
next up we have Brooke Nevin, Rachel.
Wow. I can do anything in the world because I'm Rachel, the quote says at the top.
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, this is fascinating because as listeners have heard in our episode discussions, I have pretty much come to the conclusion that Rachel in the show is just they're not even trying to make her like Rachel in the book. It's just a different character.
Mhm.
And the way they describe her in this chapter is the way you would describe Rachel in the book. They say
Yes.
adventurer who's always out front, ready to try anything, fearless, headstrong. This is not the Rachel I know from the
Yes.
as portrayed by Brooke Nevin.
Yes. Now, some of that is the writer who might be pulling from the books, but a lot of that is Brooke's own assessment of the Rachel character. And we do learn right off the bat here that um, Brooke had friends who were into Animorphs, and she started reading the series after getting the part and does, in fact, read it. So, like, she is reading the books and is aware of the Rachel character in the books and says that she is like basing herself off of the Rachel character. So it feels like from this, if this is to be believed, it is fully possible that the writers of the show and the director of the show don't give a shit about Rachel in the books, but it feels like maybe Brooke Nevin does give a shit about trying to portray Rachel as she was.
She is the only one who
Yes.
says she's read the books.
Yeah. I assume the others just all have not and
I
probably
assume they
still have
asked
not.
yeah, they asked them all for sure, and just
Hmm.
they didn't print them saying no, because why
Yeah.
would you do that?
You're right. No, that's not. You do it if you were making a more interesting version of this book for adults, but that's not what it is.
Now, I think we don't get to find out this answer, but I think maybe Paulo Costanzo read the books too.
Sure, why not? I believe it.
That's what I think. Yeah, I mean, we don't see any of that in her performance. So if she's
No,
trying to portray that Rachel, she's not doing a good job. But maybe it's not her
no.
fault. Maybe the director keeps telling her, "Why are you looking so angry? Be more docile."
Yeah, I mean, I also do feel like part of the issue. So we also find out here that Brooke is 16. We had guessed that she might actually be like really young because she looks younger than the other ones, and also in
I think we kind of knew.
the Goosebumps. Yeah, I think we kind of knew. But this does confirm an actual age. And I gotta say, even just reading the dialogue that she says in these parts here, you can tell she's not as old as the others. Like, there is a very clear divide in the way that she phrases things and how the other Animorphs phrase things, where
Mhm.
she comes off like an actual child, and the rest of them just come off like they don't know shit because they're too young.
It's very strange to me why everyone in the cast is like
Hmm.
around 20 years old except for her. Why would you it's not like, oh, well, she came in and even though she was younger, she blew them away. This just was Rachel, so we had to cast her. That couldn't be the case.
Yeah, I mean, like, they write this like that's the case, but it has to
Of
be that
course.
because of the Goosebumps, like, she had to have already been involved in it
I
to some degree.
guess.
That's gotta have been it, right?
Because
Because
otherwise, why not just cast someone closer in age? It's so weird. She's the only one. It's not like there's a rate. It's not like, oh, this one's 17, that one's 22. They're all the same age except for her. It's
yeah, no,
weird.
it is very strange, but I also think that might be part of the issue with her performance as well, both in terms of, like, I do not think she's as good as an actor as the other ones are at this point in the series, so she might not, and to be fair, if she's 16 and they're 20, then, like, yeah, why would she be? That would
Mhm.
explain that. But also, like, potentially her interpretation of the characters maybe not as mature. Like, she's describing Rachel as she's describing her in the books, but she's also, she says, like, when I get into my Rachel woman, it's like superwoman, girl power. I can do anything in the world because I'm Rachel. And it feels like she's bringing more of that than she is Rachel being, like, angry and troubled, you know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
I think early on in the show, I said, like, it feels like she's kinda just doing, like, a girl boss smirk all the time rather than, wanting to kill people. And I think that could be a 16-year-old's interpretation of the character might be the problem.
Yeah, well, she says at one point that she is also inspired by Buffy,
That's
like the
true.
character. And that's you I think that's the kind of energy that you're describing is like I'm the coolest girl. I'm the
Mhm.
badass as opposed to I'm a ball of rage,
Right.
which is not quite the same. Um she did dance. I like the way this is described. Brooke cops to having had a terrific childhood.
God,
She
what the
cops to it, huh?
I
She
fucking yeah, this is not even the only time they say a character cops to doing something in here, and it just feels weird as shit, but also,
but it's that
like,
should
what
be
is that?
for
Am I supposed to say I had a bad oh, yeah, I had such a tough childhood, it was a struggle. Oh, no, I'll cop to having a good one. What?
right, yeah, it's the strangest choice of phrase. It is so bizarre. I
Yeah.
don't understand it. Um, she went camping in Quebec. Her favorite book was Where the Red Fern Grows.
Which I'm sure she read in school, right?
I never read that one.
I don't think I read that one, but it feels like the sort of thing that you
They
would read in
do,
school.
yeah, yeah. They do mention her Goosebumps episode here,
Mhm.
which we
It is in
watched on the
here.
Patreon. She was also filmed in Africa. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It looks like her first ro did we know this, that her first role was in a honeycomb commercial? I feel like we did
Mm,
hear about that maybe, like, there was a
mm,
that sounds
maybe.
familiar.
Yeah, I don't know. Sure, maybe.
Sure. But, yeah, no, it is very funny just hearing her talk about the books and reading them and being a fan, and I guess part of that, like, I can imagine, right, the 20-year-olds who, are not running out to buy Animorphs, right? Like, they don't have friends reading it, they're not running like, "Oh, this book is so cool." They're like, "Oh, yeah, I guess that's a kid's book that exists." I don't know.
Right. Right. Well, oh yeah, Rachel would be the only. I mean, Brooke Nevin would be the only one close enough in age to actually live in that
Mhm.
world. So it makes sense why. But I would think I don't know if I, I don't know if you're one of these actors. Wouldn't you just fucking read some of the books if you're playing this part?
Yeah,
Why don't they read the
probably.
book? Unless, I mean, I can see there's I forget, there's some actor, I think it was Walton Goggins, but this was for the Fallout TV show, so a video game is something different, but, or maybe it was somebody on the Last of Us show where they were like, it's not my job, it's the writer's job and the producer's job to know the source material, and as an actor, it's my job to like play the part as it's written,
Mhm.
which I kind of respect, but, this isn't we're not really dealing with that level of acting
Yeah.
method. I don't know. I guess I'm
Yeah.
just contradicting myself to say I guess you don't have to read the book, but, like, fucking I would.
Yeah. I guess I forgot that Rachel does say that she enjoys math, but she says it kind of like it's so when she's talking about her classes, it really is jarring. Because the at least the other people they're talking about, like, yeah, when I was in school, this was the thing, I guess. And with her, it's like, yeah, this is my favorite subject. This is what we're learning right now in this class. And I'm like, Jesus Christ,
Yeah, she
what
says
a
she loves
baby.
finger painting and snack time.
Right.
Her two
Exactly.
favorites. She likes when they wheel in the CRT TV and you get to
Christ.
watch a documentary about cane toads.
That does sound like a good time.
She has two dogs, Benji and Coco.
Mhm. Mhm.
And Benji is officially her dog because she saved up the money to buy him.
Jesus.
Now, we don't condone buying animals. You should get a rescue.
I
Right?
mean, don't you usually, like, pay some fee for that? I would have considered
Um,
that buying the dog when I was a kid.
maybe. Yeah, I suppose that could be the case.
It's
I'm
just the
pretty
difference
sure.
between being, like, $50 or $1,000.
Yeah, I feel like when I got my last cat that was from a shelter, they were like, "Here,
Mm,
take him." Maybe there was like just like some kind of a small fee. Maybe you're right, but I don't remember. Anyway,
yeah, I don't know.
just go outside, you'll find one.
Yeah, just take it home.
What else? Oh, mystery solved. Brooke
Yes.
Nevin is the one who fed a hawk a chicken leg.
Yeah. It's a very it's the most nothing story, right? She's like, "Oh, here's a story. One time I had to feed the hawk a chicken leg while it perched, and it was kinda gross." Was it? Like, the bird ate a chicken what?
Listen,
Okay,
at 16, this is one of the most significant experiences she's had. This is a big deal.
sure.
The
Why
next
did we read
section
this?
is titled Basic Brooke, which I want to make note of because later on in the book, they also use this for Marco's actor and say Basic Boris.
Mm.
So this is they didn't bother to come up with a different alliterative title.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose there's a slight difference in that, if you say basic Boris, the assumption is like, oh, these are the basics for him, but basic is kind of like a gendered slur against women. So it's like, oh yeah, Brooke, she's
Hmm.
basic, you know?
It, what, I don't know. I don't know that would be called a gendered slur.
I think so. I think if
Okay.
you were to refer to someone as basic, right? Like that's not a something you'd level
Right.
against a guy, right?
Well, in The Good Place, famously, there's an episode where Kristen Bell's character says to Ted Danson, "Ya basic."
Hmm. I don't know anything
So,
about that.
proved you wrong. Brooke also loves bagels for breakfast,
Wow.
lunch, or a snack anytime. I just thought it was so odd that two in a row specifically mentioned bagels. As if that's like not everyone eats those. Like, why is that worth mentioning?
Well,
Bagels.
I mean, not these people are not Jewish, recall.
Right, unlike Rachel.
Well, I'm just saying, like, you might think that everybody eats bagels,
But I
right?
think I've heard, I don't know, I mean, I don't know where things are in Canada. Everything's about 5 minutes apart, I think, up there.
Hmm.
But Montreal bagels are a big thing.
Huh.
So maybe they do have a bagel culture in Canada.
Yeah, I don't think of them as having a bagel culture, but they might. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll just level with you. It's not like I didn't eat bagels too. Like it wasn't.
yeah. Did you
I
say it
don't
weird?
know. Everyone eats fucking bagels, so.
Okay, you said it normal, I guess. All right. And Rachel, I mean, Brooke likes the Spice Girls. She says they say she admits to it. So, this is that era where it's still maybe embarrassing to like the Spice
Mm,
Girls.
sure, sure. I
She
guess
cops
so.
to it.
She
Also,
cops to it.
she and everyone in her house has a crush on John Travolta. Quote, "We think he's a big sweetheart."
Teehee.
Anyway, she doesn't have a boyfriend. She likes boys who make her laugh and who have a
Wow.
good sense of humor
Yeah, and who breathe
and
oxygen.
are sweet, considerate, nice, and cool.
I mean, there's a she might even say this in here, but, like, at 16, there's a real chance she just hasn't even had any kind of boyfriend yet at all.
Yeah, I think there is at least someone, maybe it's Cassie, who says they haven't
No, Cassie
had.
has I think Cassie's the only one
Oh,
who
you're
has a
right.
partner right now.
Cassie has a boyfriend. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I now it is a little she says something about, like, "Oh, I don't have time for that because I'm always so busy." It is a
Mm,
little sad to think, like, she is doing potentially more acting gigs than some of these other people. Like, she's on these episodes of Goosebumps and these commercials, and she's doing that, and she's in school. And I don't know. I do feel this thing that's all like, oh, well, I don't have time for that kind of stuff because I'm too busy fucking working. And it's like, you're 16. Fucking stop working.
no, it's fine. That's good. Child actors have
Work when you're an
successful, happy
adult.
lives. No, no, they're
I mean,
doing
I
what
guess
they love.
she is out of all of these people, she has one of the more prolific careers still, right? Like she is still regularly
Prolific.
working, if I recall.
Yes, well, she says, if my acting career takes off, then I would seize the opportunity and make the most of it while I can. I'd like to explore everything. I'd love to do movies. And
Movies.
yeah, last year she played Valerie in Fuck Mary Kill.
Sure. Well, there you go.
um, which is about a serial killer who targets women on dating apps and a true crime junkie who must figure out which of her three dates is a F boy, marriage material, or is trying to kill her.
New Patreon episode.
That's the literal. They took Fuck Mary Kill and made it literal. Now, her character is listed third in the top cast, so she might be a
Damn.
real big part of this movie. I think
Yeah.
she's on the poster, maybe. That
Maybe
might be
she's
her on the
Kill.
poster. No, I don't. I think Kill is one of the
That's
boys.
probably right, yeah.
But yes, she still does act in a lot of things. So
Mhm. Mhm.
good, nothing anyone knows, but
Yeah, she's around.
she's like that is her career. She is an actress. It's not like she's not washing windows. All right.
So now we get a big name, an actual
Hmm.
name,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
people know about. This is
Homer.
the Homer chapter. This is Shawn Ashmore who plays Jake.
Yeah. I don't know why they saved him for chapter 3.
It is odd. Like they didn't like say, "Oh, best for last is Jake," or like right up front it's Jake. I don't. He's right in the middle. Strange. I don't understand it.
It is really weird. It doesn't make any sense. It's like they just randomly chose this. I don't know. He talks about how he's kind of like a leader too. Uh,
Yeah, but it's the standard thing.
Whatever.
Like, oh, he's kind of like Jake, and he's like, sure, I guess I'm sort of like Jake. That
Right,
like,
right.
all right, we get it.
Yeah, they're like, would you say you are a leader? No. But would you just say it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. He says, to quote, "I'm kind of like that too. I'm not exactly a leader, but I've had people tell me that I work well in group situations and take control when I need to." Right? It's
Perfect.
very
Print it.
yeah, done. He's like Jake.
Now, they talks a lot about the fact that, as we know, he has a twin, Aaron.
Which, to be fair, uh, as far as 20-year-olds go or 19-year-olds, he's like right on the cusp. Is probably one of the more interesting things about him.
Oh, immediately he is the most fascinating person so far in this book,
Hmm.
because that's something I can get into.
Yeah.
And he talks about how they usually go out for the same parts. I think he even says they both did go out for Animorphs. And
Yeah, he does say that, and eh, it's hard to know what to make of it because he's saying all these things that are like kind of diplomatic, and I assume that they are because it feels like they do. They didn't have like a falling out, but he's saying like, oh well, sometimes it's more about personality, and so like he brings a different vision of the character than I do, and sometimes it's literally just about the look, and they flip a coin, and so like, but like we're competitive about who gets the role or whatever.
yeah, it is strange. And it also does feel very it feels like you would just neither of you would get jobs. Because usually it's like oh, we have that type of person in Hollywood. We don't
Hmm.
need another one. If you have someone who looks is I mean, they don't look exactly the same, but they're pretty
Hmm.
damn close. I don't know. It feels like maybe if it weren't for Shawn, if Aaron had just like killed him in the womb, he'd be a star. He could have been Iceman.
He could have been Iceman. Now, I did think that was kind of interesting because he says that when it comes to like small children, they actively scout for twins, like, and that
Yeah, yeah.
apparently that's how he started, is they scouted his family because they were twins, on account of like laws regarding how long child actors can work. So
Well,
if you
that's
have
yeah.
twins, you get to, which I didn't know they did that specifically for twins. I knew there were rules,
Mm.
because I've watched the rehearsal, but
Yeah, that's why the Olsen twins are on Full House because they would just swap them out to play Michelle depending
mm,
on whatever.
that makes sense.
Yeah, um, but they don't do that for adults, I guess.
Yeah, I guess not.
Too bad. They should.
I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't see much talk about the idea that, like, oh, as an adult, there are things we can do now that we have two of you. Like, I don't know that they. He doesn't really talk about doing that much. Like, he mentions the one episode where they used Aaron, but he describes it almost as if it's a fluke. Like, they didn't say like, oh, we should bring your twin. Like, he describes it like, oh, he was just visiting set one day, and they're like, fuck, man, we need a scene with two Jakes. Get over here. It's kind of, I
Yeah.
don't know.
What were
It
they
feels
filming
like
the
it
sequel
doesn't
to
matter
Chinatown?
anymore.
But how about this fascinating story? One time he had a teacher who kept calling him his brother's name.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
What a funny story.
That's a funny story.
Yeah, and he and his brother, they used to sit in the back seat and they like divided the seat up and if they crossed over to the other person's side, they would fight.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's worth putting in a book, right? Now here's
Oh
something I
god.
did like.
Mhm.
He and his brother were in a band for a while.
Yeah, I actually liked that. I was like, "Oh, that's actually interesting that you were in a band and like went to shows."
They both played guitar and wrote songs. They had a tape out and a local Toronto label had a compilation CD with one of their songs on it. He does not say the name of their band, but please, if anyone out there has a way to access any of this music, I'm dying to hear it.
Yeah, we could find it. That would be pretty fun.
I
Hi-
really want to hear the Ashmore Twins punk
His
songs.
dad apparently described it as jumping around music.
I don't know. Is that derogatory? What is
Yeah,
that?
I have no idea what that means.
That's like what Peppa Pig says. Let's do jumping around music. Um, he loves Chronicles of Narnia and Dune. He's a Dune head.
He is a Dune head. Yeah, he
He
says
read the
that.
whole series of Dune books.
Wow.
I mean, not a lot of people can say that. This guy's a fucking nerd.
He
If
is
he
a nerd. He
likes
is kind of a nerd.
if he likes Dune, he'd probably like Animorphs. I think that's a natural follow-up.
I mean, when I look at the books he name drops, like Chronicles of Narnia, Dune, Brave New World, like for being like 19, that is nerd shit right there, right? Like that's
Man,
not.
I really got to know what he thinks about the Dune movies. He's probably got
Mm,
high-level Dune fan takes.
yeah, or he just doesn't remember it anymore because he liked it when he was a kid and then never read it again.
Hmm.
You never know
Yeah.
though. Maybe he's pissed he didn't get a role.
I mean, he's smarter than I am because I don't know. I guess we didn't talk about it. We never did a Dune episode, did we?
Did we
but
need
Dune,
to? Were we
no,
supposed to?
I just thought I remembered talking about this at some point. But when I was in like high school, I started reading Dune, and I was like, "This is too fucking boring." I didn't actually read it until like 5 years ago for the first time. I just gave up on it because I was like, "This, I can't do this."
Hmm.
I still think it's kind of boring, but I like it more now.
I wasn't like a huge Dune head. I read Dune in high school, but I didn't read like I read the first Dune in high school, but I didn't really
Sure.
read any more than that. And I don't remember having that problem with it, but
Yeah, well, you were fucking. We've established this already. You were 7 years old reading fucking Asimov and all this shit. Like you were raised on dry science fiction. It
I
wasn't
I
weird for
did
you.
love the Foundation series when I was like 10 or something.
Yeah, you were a fucking dork. I mean, even Lord of the Rings is like I think Dune is more boring than Lord of the Rings, but they have a similar kind of dryness of
I did
descriptions.
actually have that problem with Lord of the Rings. I did not read Lord of the Rings until I was in my late teens. Like, I tried reading it when I was 13 or 14, and I was like, "Nope, can't do it." Like the
Interesting.
movies, can't get into the books.
I mean, I had that same experience, but I feel like yeah, I don't know. Dune for some reason just really like I just was like, this is not gripping me.
Fair enough.
I like it now. But yeah. Anyway, I mean, well, we talked about this with Speaker for the Dead. That was the similar story.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Go
I just didn't
join our
have
Patreon to hear more.
I didn't have the appetite for knowledge and learning like you did.
Fair enough, I guess.
Shut the fuck up.
I mean, that shows, I get it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm right about dogs and you don't really know anything about them.
I'm gonna show my fist to your fucking mouth. See who's right about that. Anyway,
Um,
Jake and Marco are friends in real life.
yeah, that was something that was kind of I I have to wonder about that because, like, on the one hand, everybody kind of says, I love all my co stars and we all get along great. And, I don't know whether to trust that. But both Jake and Marco here, or I guess both Shawn and Boris here, I should say, they specifically do call out being friends with the other. And it feels like they are telling actual stories and not just saying that to imitate the show, and it does feel in the show like those 2 have significantly more chemistry than any of the other actors.
Yeah, you can tell.
Yeah.
I fully believe this.
Yeah. Uh,
I like it. It makes me happy.
it does make me happy too. Now there are some, funnier stories about it from Marco's perspective when we get there.
Yeah, but they're buds. They go to the movies and they go to Indy car races together.
Sure, I guess, why not?
That's what he says. Pretty
Why
cool.
not? Once again, we
He,
find out Jake, likes girls that are funny and smart and nice. Nice is really important.
hmm Yeah, 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 yeah,
The classic.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We another mystery solved. Jake is the one who stuck his fingers in a tiger's nose.
Oh, right, yes. Jake has a lot more. They all have stories about working with the animals, and they're all kind of like animals, cool, weird. Sometimes they poop or something. Jake does have more stories about the animals. I keep saying Jake. I should be saying Shawn.
Yeah, please. It's Shawn.
I'm over here buying the propaganda about how he's totally Jake in real life.
hmm hmm Yeah, the animal stories are not that. They all do kind of amount to animals smell.
Yeah.
They're a little scary sometimes.
Yeah, Bongo, the lion.
Sure.
They do bring up on multiple occasions that Bongo is declawed, which always makes me very sad.
Yeah, I felt uncomfortable about that. That is unfortunate.
Yeah. And,
We
and
didn't know
and
then. We didn't know. I had cats that were declawed. People didn't. It wasn't like known to the public that
hmm,
that was bad. People didn't talk about that.
yeah. And I also just I think about it and I'm like, they even say in the book, well, he's still 800 pounds and he still has his fucking teeth. And it's like, yeah, I mean, what was the point? Like who it doesn't mean he couldn't kill you. Like what why?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess you're less likely to have him just accidentally graze you with a fucking knife.
Yeah, I don't know. It made me sad. Poor Bongo.
Yeah, it
Everyone
doesn't make
loves
me
Bongo.
sad because I think Bongo probably was a piece of shit.
They do describe him at some point as being kind of a prankster.
Well, he constantly is pissing on people.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what they say.
that's what lions do, I guess. I guess that's normal.
Yeah, so you know what? Fuck this guy. Take his back claws too. Take his teeth out. This guy's an asshole.
Poor Bongo.
He's dead now. Who gives a
I don't
shit?
think they even mention Caesar in here.
No. Yeah, although there's some other animal that has the name Caesar that comes up,
Oh,
which I was
huh.
sort of confused by.
I don't
I
even
think I think
remember
maybe
that.
one of the birds maybe is also named Caesar. It was weird.
One of the birds was named Hera, I remember that,
Mm,
and I think was a guy, which is I would have named a girl bird Hera, so presumably
right.
it's not
That's
named after the Greek goddess, but
well. That's
wow.
because your perspective of gender roles is very limited.
I see. Yeah, okay, I get that. That makes sense.
By the way, oh, sorry, Sean's current favorite book is Rule of the Bone, which Aaron also read.
Mm.
You ever read
Uh,
that book?
I've never heard of this book.
I've heard of it. But I never read it. I think that was also one that kids would sometimes read in high school.
Hmm. Well, I
Not
guess
maybe,
we're
maybe not like learn. I think it's more recent, but like as a like a summer reading kind of a book.
sure.
I don't know. I
Well,
don't know.
maybe we'll do it for the Patreon. I don't think we will.
We
We don't
will.
have
We will.
time.
We will. And Sean is about to go on a special trip, a 3-month trip to Australia. So that's how he's spending his summer vacation. So if he comes back in season 2 real tan
Mm.
and covered in bug bites,
Mm.
that's why.
Maybe he'll meet a dreamy aboriginal out there.
Maybe he will. Now, yeah, he must be doing research for the underground episode that's coming up in season 2. There's something that's worth mentioning here. He says that college is on the agenda.
Mhm.
Most of these kids, it seems like, are just not going to college. I think Cassie maybe mentions it specifically.
Yeah, Cassie is going to college. I don't know what Brooke Nevins. I think
Well,
she's
she's
saying I'll
young, I
totally do
guess.
it, right?
Yeah.
But she's still in high school. The others all seem to say, like, it does feel like this is a common trend among the others that they all say, listen, and college is deferred for my acting, but I'm totally going to go because I wouldn't want to encourage children reading this to think they don't have to go to college and can
But
just be an actor.
I'm honestly, I mean, I know that you say that jokingly, but
Hmm.
to me, it's like, I'm surprised they even say it at all. Like, just the fact that they're like, look how cool these people are. And oh, also, like, they're not in school and they're doing this and they live on their own. It feels like it almost is an implied endorsement of, hey, something cool you can do is not go to college. Like, I don't think they meant it that way, but I feel like kids might read it that way. I'm surprised they didn't just like not talk about it at all or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I listen. I totally endorse not going to college and following your dreams instead. Do that.
Yeah, it
But
worked out for Christopher Ralph.
uh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I guess that is true that you could read it that way. I wonder if that was a concern they had in writing it, or maybe just even in interviewing it, where they were like, "Oh shit, I better ask about college so I can get that question in here because it's feeling a little too whatever."
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just didn't. This was a time when it wasn't quite so rigid.
Hmm.
Like now, you'd have 20 editors being like, nothing in this book can touch a child's eyeballs that isn't. Like, we're gonna get letters. There was no Twitter at the time. So it wasn't like, oh no, parents are going to complain. Like nobody would really give a shit.
Right, like who do you think was in charge of what parts? Was it like Randy Reisfeld doing the like the interviewing and writing, and
Mm.
just Morial did the I don't know how to fucking say it. Did the
Marie, it's
editing
Marie.
purely? Or do you think
Yeah.
that like maybe one of them
Hmm.
did the interviewing and then the other one chopped it up and wrote it?
Yeah, I think that's more like. I think if she was just the editor, she wouldn't. Her name wouldn't be on the front cover.
Right?
She, yeah, they must have both, or maybe one person wrote up the bios and one person wrote up the intro and the other stuff at the end. I don't know.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was some like where the direction on these quite like is the person writing this book different from the person who asked the questions, or is there some overlap?
Yeah. Yeah, who know? It could have just been an intern ask the questions with a tape recorder.
Could easily be.
Should we take a break before chapter 4 and talk about the 16-page photo spread?
Sure, we could.
Because that's where it's inserted, basically.
Yeah, mine is inserted halfway through Marco, but we can do it wherever
Oh,
you want.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. On mine, it's in the middle of Cassie.
Well, we
Hmm.
can do it where yours is if you want.
Okay. Well, everybody likes this. Remember when you would get novelizations of movies as a kid, and right in the middle was all the color photos of screens from the movie?
Yeah, it's like, "Ooh, there's gonna be pages of color." I'm excited because it promised it on the cover, and then you look at them and you're like, "Yep, there they are."
That was the best. Also,
Mm.
it's hard to remember a time like this, but it was like, when I had my novelization of The Mask, I couldn't just go watch The Mask anytime I wanted. Like, for a period of time, if I wanted to remember a scene from The Mask, that was my best bet, was to look at those photos. Like, it wasn't like, well, wait a month, it'll be on Netflix. I just had to enjoy my book, or else I might just forget what the movie was.
Well, then you'll be excited for this first picture, which is the picture on the cover of the book again.
Yeah. So that's that. There's that.
From the nickel ozone to the superstar zone, here come the amazing Animorph stars, is what it says.
Yeah. Each character now gets their own headshot page.
Hmm.
It says the character's name at the top, and then it says who they are and a fun fact about them.
Yeah. Christopher Ralph became an animal lover ever since Animorphs. Because his Pepper the cat.
Uh-huh. And yeah.
Nadia Nascimento, off camera, she's totally into music. Which is probably not the main fact about her I would have put there from her bit, but she is into music, I guess. Jaco is also in a band, so he kind of is too. Everyone's into music. I don't really know what to. Sure.
Yeah, Jake says he's into rollerblading and snowboarding, which I don't remember coming up.
When I looked at these after reading the book, I was like, I'm pretty sure they didn't mention that. When we went through Jake just now, I did see the word rollerblading, so I guess
Okay.
it's technically in there. They're really
Brooke
digging.
Nevin is the youngest cast member.
Mhm.
That's her fun fact.
Wow, fascinating.
I don't know if we should say Boris's. It's like a spoiler almost.
Oh, yeah, I don't think we can say Boris's yet. Now, I think the real meat of these is the next ones. For example, this Animorphs is shot in Toronto, in the studio, and on locations such as this one. Now, can you guess, listeners, what location they might be in? It's a pile of rubble outside a warehouse. That's one of them.
Wow.
That's one of the locations they shot on.
Wow.
Wow.
This one I like. Jake and Marco are running towards the camera,
Yeah.
and the caption says, Boris and Shawn are buff boys. Action scenes help them stay in shape. There is a time later in the book when they will also use the phrase buff boys. And I did not like it either time.
The buff boys. Well, next time we see Marco showing off his rippling pectorals, I'm going to be like, "Ooh, look at the buff boy on the show."
Homer gets a page.
Oh yeah, of course, Homer.
Aaron Ashmore. Yeah.
Listen, I'm just very happy to read
The
about
Homer.
Homer here. In real life, Shawn has a golden retriever just like him. That's pretty cool,
Yeah.
right? I don't think we touched on
Bongo.
that. I think his name is Jesse.
Yeah, his name's Jesse. And Homer. Also, Homer's real name is Jessica. Or no. Shawn's real dog is Jessica, and they call her Jessie for short. Homer is a boy, but his real name is Jesse, they said.
Right, yes. So that's pretty cool.
Well, how come it says Homer trained by in the credits? Why doesn't it say Jesse? Why doesn't it say Homer played by Jesse?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't like that. Give Jesse some credit. There's Rachel morphing a lion. There's a Tobias. There's a bird. I mean, the rest of these are pretty uninteresting, I think.
Bongo. This is the bit about him being declawed, which kind of
Yeah.
I don't like how they phrase it either. Where it says he's a pro. He's been in a dozen movies. The secret? He's declawed. Like, oh yeah, he couldn't have acted in those movies if he had his claws. Fuck off.
He would have murdered everyone. What are you, from fucking PETA over here? You fucking bleeding heart liberal with your animal rights shit? Get the fuck out of here.
Tobias, he was an once Chris was an outsider at school. He knows just how Tobias sometimes feels.
At the end, there's a picture of them, and it says, all five of them. Their biggest challenge to morph into Insta friends on camera as well as off. They did it. Now they rule.
Wow. I do fucking love all the captions. They're all so generic. It's fucking like all the animals on Animorphs. This croc rocks. Andy's real. Cassie morphed into him.
Wait, you have a croc?
Yeah, I have a croc.
I don't
Oh,
have
are
a
you missing
croc.
a page? It's also
I'm
got
missing a
Cassie
croc.
and Elfangor here.
Oh, yeah, I don't have that page.
Nadia and
Oh.
Shawn think Animorphs is the coolest. They hope the show is on for a long time.
Oh, no.
A
Oh.
little sad.
Oh, audience sound.
What about the thing about the hawks they use all being identical? Do you think that's actually true, or do you think it's like, yeah, they're all birds when you
No.
fucking
Yeah,
they
of
look
course
like
it's not
birds?
true. Yeah, there's not they don't know that they're identical. That's not a thing. It's not like they had
Yeah.
identical triplet hawks.
They bring it up every time though. They don't say we use 3 hawks. They say we use 3 hawks, but they're identical. Oh, fucking
All
no.
right. Let's get to Cassie. I don't want
Yeah.
this episode to be another 3-hour episode.
Well, it might be.
No.
Cassie is
No.
very spiritual. Would you say
Right.
that? Is that something you would say?
Uh hmm. Well, no. No, I wouldn't say that.
It does feel from the intro here that Nadia is just not like Cassie at all, and they try so hard because they basically say like, "Oh, well, one way in which I'm like Cassie is that Cassie and I are both very like spiritual, and we're like, nice. Um, but we're very different in that I'm super extroverted and outgoing, and like I'm always doing shit and talking to people, and like." She's like, yeah, I have a boyfriend because if it was me, I wouldn't fuck around with this. Oh, will they, won't they shit. You'd just be like, Jake, let's get together. And like, she just feels not like Cassie. It also is very funny that she says multiple times the biggest difference between her and Cassie is that Cassie often is very quiet, which is also not quite something that I think of Cassie as being. And it almost comes across like what she really means is the director is always telling me to shut the fuck up because I won't keep, I just keep talking.
Yeah, they don't. I don't think, do they even mention, oh, she's good with animals, or like I don't feel like anything they say about Cassie is what I would think of as important about Cassie.
Yeah, let's see here. We both think a lot with our heart, too much almost.
I guess.
When Cassie
Yeah.
speaks, she's really given it thought before she tells anyone anything. She
Uh,
sits back and listens, but she's always thinking. She doesn't have to say things all the time. She just knows. She's very
uh,
spiritual. She's the sweetest girl you'll ever know. Sweet, honest, a true confidant. We both love a lot and we're really caring.
these are none of the. If you just said those to me blind and I didn't know who you were describing, I would
Yeah.
never be like, "That's Cassie." That's. I mean, maybe some parts of that kind of describe Cassie, but that's not how you would. It's certainly not how she comes across in the book or the show. I mean,
Yeah.
there's more description of these characters in this book than in the entire show.
Yeah, 100%. And it doesn't always line up with anything.
No. Now, Nadia, to her credit, I think is one of the more. I think maybe the order they chose for these is from
Mm.
most boring to least boring.
Is that the way you should do it though? Like you don't want to like at a
Well,
certain
yeah.
point people are just going to duck out like, "All right,
No,
I'm done with this fucking story." Like
no,
you kind of want to open and close on the interesting one,
no.
right?
Well, maybe, but I think if you're an Animorph's head, you start with like, you're gonna read it all anyway, and this way you end on a bang, and this way you're
Sure.
not like, boy, the last one was more interesting. Who gives a shit about this kid? They only get better from here.
Mhm.
Anyway, Nadia is like a world traveler.
I get the feeling from how she writes here that she might be fucking loaded. Like her family might be like ridiculously wealthy.
Maybe. I don't know about ridiculously, but they got to have money. because
Yeah, I
she's
mean,
like
it's like a
going around to
reading
Europe
between
and
the
shit.
lines thing. It just kind of I get the sense from I mean, all right. So, does any our listeners who know anything about Canada here? She says where she grew up in Lynn Valley, and I don't know. It just everything we grew up in Leave It to Beaverland in Lynn Valley outside Vancouver. Uh she talks about like everyone on the street knew each other. She says apparently the whole neighborhood would like go camping together, like 60 families.
That is very
Um,
weird. Was it a cult?
yeah, it's very strange. She talks about
Are they
like
Mormons?
she says that she was like the only black family there, but it never mattered. They do bring up her race a number of times. It feels like maybe they kept asking her about it, and she kept being like, "I don't know. I'm fucking rich. It doesn't matter." Uh, like, I don't know. I was trying to figure it out. Like, I was trying. It does. There's. It's just very strange the way she talks about her community growing up in a way that makes me wonder if it's not like there's something. And the all of the different traveling she's done. She'll talk about how like, oh, my favorite place was when I visited Portugal, and this is where like all the rich people have their homes. Like Oprah Winfrey's house was here, and it's just like
Hmm.
these destinations just
Hmm.
they don't feel like regular it feels like you have the money to just be going all over the place and like you might be specifically maybe I'm reading too much into it.
I think you are bringing a little of your own baggage and axes to grind
I don't
into
know.
it.
I don't know
I
about it.
a
It just
little, a
feels
little.
it doesn't feel the same as when I read about like you know Jake or Tobias or whatever. It feels it's odd. It's off somehow.
Your eat the rich dar is going off. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think clearly she must have some level of financial security to be
Mhm.
traveling to other countries and spending long periods of time there. Like that's
Mhm.
definitely the case. I just don't know if it's. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I get what you're saying. There's definitely
Mhm.
vibes there. I don't know if she is as rich as Oprah Winfrey, but
No, I don't
maybe
think she's as
she's.
rich as Oprah Winfrey, but I just I get the sense that she is like wealthy, but I could, you know, maybe that's totally wrong. I did not
It's
look up the
possible.
Nascimentos.
Remember, it was Canada and it was the 90s. Things were maybe a little easier then.
Listen, tell me about Lynn Valley. Anybody who knows anything about Lynn Valley, is this rich people community or is this just like normal suburbia? Like what is this?
In Canada, it's just like a utopia. Everyone there has this. They're all going camping with their entire streets.
Sure. Yeah, why not?
It's what they all like to do. I'm looking it up. This is in North Vancouver.
Mhm.
Is there like a I don't know. Wikipedia is not telling me anything about its, it's not saying
Hmm.
like it's the richest town in Canada or
How
anything
about
like
how
that.
about this? Argyle High School is where she went.
Sure, but Prince of Wales, the collegiate high school, like
Sure, sure. Well, I'm just saying maybe that gives you a clue if you see where that is.
that is the
Um,
primary secondary school in Lynn Valley.
she does talk about having had a tutor, so
The
she did
neighborhood
bring
is
it
served by various TransLink buses.
her. Wow. Let's see. This Mr. Burrett, her like high school drama teacher. He taught Jason Priestley from Beverly Hills 90210 when he was in high school.
This place
That's
sounds
pretty
awesome.
cool.
I'm moving to Lynn Valley. It
Go
has
for it.
it's a known as a mountain biking hiking destination. Easy access to Ski Hill, the forest area often using as a filming location. It has a
Wow.
spectacular second growth rainforest and offers a range of hiking trails for all abilities. And they have Poets Corner, a series of street names of past poets, including Shakespeare, Tennyson, Chaucer, Milton, and others. This is a place for learned folks like yourself.
Okay, okay.
They're all reading Dune over there. They love it.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Um, Anyway, but I thought she was one of the more interesting people to read about just
Mhm.
because she did have actual world experience, like literally
Yeah.
with the world.
Yeah, and like actual interests that she does seem to be gushing about. Like they're like, "Oh, what kind of music are you into?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm into the blues because of the cultural history of it and blah 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 blah. Oh, I'm into sociology. I act, like it's not just like, yeah, this is my first acting gig, I'm acting now."
Right.
Like she does have a lot of different stories and a lot of actual interests that don't just sound generic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not, you know what? I think I might have a little crush on Nadia Nascimento.
Wow. Well, you're too late because she's the only one who's actually dating someone.
I know every time it said her boyfriend, I was enraged.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I think it still tells you what kind of boys she likes, just in case. I don't remember
I'm
where that is.
sure they didn't stay together. She's single now. She's also 12 years older than me. That's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't know anything about her except what she was like when she was 20.
Well, people
And
don't
when you
really
say what she
change.
was like, I mean, you read this interview in this book.
She's a world traveler. She loves Greek food. So do
Mm-hmm.
I.
Sure.
Uh, what else do you need? um, what else do you need? You mentioned her race, and I because the book mentions her race,
Yeah. They do it
but
several times.
it is. It did strike me as a bit odd when she says talks about growing up and being like the only black kids in her neighborhood, and she says there were never any racial comments or slurs or anything. It just feels like maybe the question was like, did they ask her like, did you face any racial discrimination? Like, did they really were they hoping to dig up some juice, some dirt or something?
Yeah, that is kind of odd. I don't know what to make of that.
It's a weird thing to just put in the middle of your fluff kids book. Like the fact that the word slurs is in here at all is strange.
I don't know, man. I mean, maybe they were just like, listen, in America, you definitely would have heard some slurs. I don't care where you grew up, you would have heard it.
Yeah, yeah, she loves the blues. She was a good actor. Yeah. We do think she's one of the better actors on the show.
I do think that's true, yeah.
She, however, did not continue acting for much after this. So
Yeah,
she
although to be fair, I think she is the one here who says that she doesn't like acting on TV nearly as much as she does in the theater.
mm,
Like she has a whole thing in here about like, oh, in the theater you get to like feel the like play off the energy of the audience and you get to actually inhabit the character, whereas on TV you're playing them for like 5 minutes at a time and then you're back out of it. So it is
yeah.
possible that she still has an acting career and it's just like not showing up on IMDb.
Yeah, that's true. That could be the case. Seropedia says she's a software house executive.
What's that mean?
I don't have any idea what that means.
A software house.
Says a Canadian actress and software house executive.
Hmm.
I don't know what that means. I'm gonna try to find out.
Sure.
I don't know. I guess she might be a CEO. She might be getting Luigi'd.
Hmm. Well, that I mean, maybe she got nepotismed into it. Maybe that's maybe
Hmm.
that's where her money came from.
Maybe they were like, you got to stop being an actor. You need to carry on the family legacy. Stop with this frivolous nonsense of children's television. Come be a software house executive, Nadia. I don't know.
I like this bit you're doing.
Yeah. Well, then I'm thinking I could meet her one day and I'd be like, wow, I remember you from Animorphs. And she'd be like, oh, wow, no one's ever brought that up before. I'm so proud of that. Too bad don't act anymore. And I'd be like, let's rekindle your passion for the stage. And
Hmm.
then we'd elope.
You're getting a little too into this. I don't know that I'm comfortable with what's going on here.
What?
I
I'm
just
saying
feel
today,
I'm just
now.
yeah, I don't know. I just feel a little uncomfortable right now.
Well, you're not going to feel uncomfortable when I say that kind of shit about Boris.
Well, of course not. No, that's totally normal and expected.
I did. She does mention that she has a good relationship with Brooke, and she was worried because she's so much younger than her, but they ended up really bonding.
Yeah,
That's
it's like
nice.
it's kind of I don't even know what to make of some of that here. What I found out was she's so much more mature than I am. First of all, I don't like when anyone calls kids mature. It sets off alarm bells. Uh, but like this is weird. Like she's like my mom almost. But then I give her a lot of advice, so I'm like her mom. Actually, I shouldn't say mom. It's not really that kind of relationship. I like what is she? I mean, I guess I
This
know what
is
she's doing. She's just kind of like gushing because she's an exuberant extrovert, is what's happening
yeah.
here.
Yeah, she's just speaking out loud, stream of consciousness, and they're just printing it without editing it. It's just
Yeah.
not.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that is one of the other things that makes her a little more interesting here is that she does have a style of speaking that comes through in the interviews in a way that some of the
Mm,
others don't necessarily. The others feel a little bit more like generic interview answer,
mhm.
where I mean, she's over here, even when she's talking about like, oh, I loved Greek food. She says, I gained in Greece. And it's like, that's a weird way to phrase it, but I guess that tells me a little bit about how you talk.
That is how a teenager in Animorphs would talk. Oh man, I
Right.
totally gained.
I gained.
Yeah. 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 She's got a little more of a personality. You can tell she's is a theater kid. That's really what it comes down to. It
Yeah, I
sounds
mean,
like
I
a
have to assume all of these people are theater kids. It's
they
just
kind of all are, but yeah, hers comes across as like, oh, she's that kind of theater kid.
mhm, mhm.
I did notice that there is a part here where she says that she and Shawn are have worked a lot together and have the same social background. That does kind of sound like she's saying they're both from like upper crust
Mm.
society.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I didn't get that feeling with Shawn, but it's probably true.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe he just doesn't say things like that, so I don't pick up on it.
yeah. It makes
Yeah,
sense like
the
if he has
same
a
social
twin.
background. That is a little
Yeah,
hmm.
you wouldn't say that if you weren't two rich people. Like what the fuck else would that mean?
Yeah, that like yeah. Yeah, we're from a special class of people, the good class of people.
All right, let's get to the best class of people, which is chapter 5.
Boris Cabrera,
Our boy Boris, the buff boy himself.
the buff boy himself.
The laugh a minute Marco.
Marco hurts a lot inside.
That is the initial quote, which I think is really funny because this is such a lighthearted, fluffy book. And then chapter 5, Marco hurts a lot inside. Oh shit. Oh my god. What are we doing?
Yeah, I
I
mean,
didn't sign up for this.
can I just say they open up by asking the standard like how are you like Marco? And he says, "Well, one way I'm like Marco is that like I like to make people laugh." But Marco does it because he has a lot of pain inside, and that wasn't true for me. I had a good home life, and like it does sound like he had a good home life, but then he talks about the rest of his life. Immediate next section. So I grew up in a bad neighborhood, and there were a lot of gangs there, and I saw my friend get shot, and I'm like, I don't know that I buy this. It's different because you don't like. I don't.
Yeah, no, it is wild. Well, let's give
Yeah.
away the secret now.
Yeah.
Boris is the only cast member who is not Canadian. He's from California.
Yeah. I believe he's from Southern California too.
Yeah, Pasoima. I don't know how you say it. California. And yeah, I mean, it is wild. As you
Hmm.
said, he talks about his parents trying to keep him and his brother from joining any gangs.
Yeah.
And at first it sounds like, oh, this is like kind of like maybe he's exaggerating. I don't know. But then he's like, yeah, one of my friends got shot.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Like,
he
oh my
actually.
God. No, this is
Yeah, like
legit
he's
gangs.
actually in a bad neighborhood for real. This wasn't just like a they have to ask the Hispanic kid from a bad neighborhood in the show if he was actually from a bad and he goes, sure. No, no, I mean
This is why he's funny. It's because he actually had a rough childhood.
yeah, there you go. This is why he works as Marco, I guess.
I mean, it does make him great for the role. Too bad about. I mean, I guess he made it through okay. I
Yeah,
get,
I
but
mean,
yeah.
sure, I guess. Why not? Now, this does lead to the the fucking thing where he's like, it was kind of weird at first hanging out around Jake because I didn't know too many white people from my neighborhood. So now I jokingly just call him white boy. It's cool. We tease each other like that.
I love that.
I was fucking losing it. It was really funny.
That is very funny to picture them offset and him
Yeah.
just be like, "Come on, white boy, get the line right."
I'm gonna be imagining that every time they're having fun together on
I
on the
just don't
show
yeah,
from now on.
that's just such a great I just
Yeah.
love this idea of, this kid from, like, the streets who's, like, never talked to white people, and then this, upper middle class Canadian twin, and they bond on set and become besties. I love it. This is a
Yeah,
great story.
that's like a Oscar bait movie about,
Yeah, right.
overcoming racial differences right there.
That's Green Book.
There you go. They should
Um,
stars themselves in a movie. I'd watch that.
God, they really, really should. He tells this bizarre story about how he got into acting. I guess it's not that bizarre, but the way he initially frames it, I thought was confusing. Where
Mhm, mhm.
he knew a guy, he was like a family friend. So an
Yeah.
older guy
Yeah.
who worked on the Universal lot, and he knew Edward James Olmos, who
Yeah.
by the way, they don't in 1999, a kid reading this book doesn't know who Edward James Olmos is.
Yeah, there's no
they
way.
they don't say like he was in this movie or something. Like I don't even other than Battlestar and Blade Runner, I don't what else was he in? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know what else he was in. Um but maybe there's something I know, but yeah, he like gave this family friend a break in the industry, and then he was like, "Hey, pay it forward. You should give a Latino kid a break too." And so that's what he did for Marco, and that's how Marco got into Boris, I mean, got into acting. I'm saying Latino, I should say Hispanic, but do they say? I don't know. I just don't cancel me for Christ's sakes.
I
Um,
I'm also just trying to parse this introduction, like, oh, I guess he's 11 in this story. Jesus,
mm,
that's yeah, okay, so he's young. Because I was reading okay, I was at a family party and I was dancing. As a kid, I would never play with the other kids at a party, running around popping balloons. That wasn't me. I liked to dance. For some reason, I was always different. I was the one who liked to dance and talk to girls. Really weird. So I was dancing at this party, and a friend of my father's, Rolando Molina, came over to me and said, "Come here, man. I
Rolando.
thought I was in trouble." So I guess he just showed up at. I guess he's a family friend. He sees Marco dancing at a birthday party at 11 and says, "Hey, come over here. I got an acting gig for you." Like,
Oh no, come
what is
on.
going? No, but like, that's weird, right? Like, what is this?
He's paying it forward because of Edward James Olmos.
Yeah, but like what a strange story. Not like my family friend talked to my dad about getting me in. Like I was at a birthday party. Like this is weird. Or maybe it wasn't a birthday party. What is this? I don't understand it. It's just not it doesn't I don't get it. Maybe it's cuz I was a loser nerd who didn't go to parties.
I
I
think
wasn't different than the other kids. I didn't like to dance and talk to girls.
I don't think you're supposed to draw the conclusion that he saw him dancing and was like, "That kid's got the stuff." I
I
think
guess,
that
but
just happened to be what he was doing, and he's just like telling the story.
I
I
guess
think
so. It's just
Rolando
a
was just going to talk to him about this regardless.
I guess so. It's just a weird I don't know. It's strange to me.
It is a little weird, but now Rolando is his acting coach and he calls him his godfather. I think it's
Yeah.
just like the tight knit Hispanic community that they
Sure.
all look out for each other, and that's not how I live.
Yeah, same. I mean, that probably does have something to do with it.
Yeah,
That
to
I
us,
just
the idea of someone older like mentoring you and looking out for you and trying to help you is foreign. But that's just
right, right.
he was lucky enough to have that in his life.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, yeah, Boris is also someone who pretty much stopped acting in 2004,
Mhm.
but he did do some stuff before then for
Yeah,
Animorphs.
I do wonder where he is now because he is like good in the role.
Yeah.
Um, so I wonder why did he stop? Did he just say, "Eh, fuck it, I'm done with this"? Did he like run out of roles or something? Like what happened here?
Yeah, yeah, it's a shame. He is one of the more likable people for sure.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, he talks a lot about getting the part. It's not really very interesting after that.
Yeah, no, I think this is the guy who said that the guy. I think he's the one who said that he was terrified auditioning in front of a television camera, which was like the least interesting
Mm,
of the phrases on the back of the book.
yeah, 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 yeah. Oh yeah, here they do say at the end of the chapter uh, that maybe someday he'll do the Edward James Olmos thing, and it will mean he will be able to reach out to the Latino community and help another boy or girl achieve their dream. I don't know. I just want to not get it wrong, the terminology, because I feel like they refer to him as Hispanic, which is Hispanic is like Spain, but maybe Latino covers both. I
I think
don't
the
know enough.
I think the longer you focus on it, the more likely you are to get yourself in trouble, if that's what you're
No.
worried about here.
Well, I you're not giving me any answers. So
Yeah,
you don't know either.
I don't really know, which is why I'm not really focusing on it. I'm not gonna worry too
I
much
don't
about it.
this is what they want. If you don't talk about it, then we
Hmm.
separate ourselves. I'm trying to
Hmm.
educate myself and learn and have this be part of the conversation
You're
because I
gonna
think it's
educate yourself by
important.
reading a book. See, the way that I would do it is that if I were actually talking to him and it was important, I'd be like, "So what should I say?" Okay, cool, and then I'd just say that.
Well, I thought you might know. You know, my co-host on the podcast. I thought we might have a conversation.
I feel like a
Okay.
lot of okay, so I feel like when it comes to Latino and Hispanic, those words are often like very nebulous and fuzzy around the borders, and so it's kind of like uh, what exactly that means might vary from person to person. You should probably
Hispanic.
just talk to the person you're talking to.
Here, Google
Like I
says
wouldn't. Sure.
Hispanic refers to individuals who are Spanish speaking or from a Spanish speaking country. Latino is specifically from a Latin American country.
Yeah,
That's
but
what it is.
is that
That's the
how it's like
distinction.
regularly used in the United States? I don't even know. I don't know. It's like I'm
I
not
think
gonna
so.
speculate on it because I don't.
Well, we looked it up, and now I've learned something. Oh,
Sure.
you don't believe the internet?
Is that what the AI told you?
Yeah, that was from Bing's AI program. That was from Grok or whatever, the Twitter robot.
Listen, I would just use whatever the person wanted. I don't.
Well, yeah,
It's fine.
obviously, but it's good to have a baseline to understand.
Sure.
Because then you
Why
know what
not?
happens is they say it's not my job to educate you. Then you got to look it up.
Sure. Why not?
I think this is valuable content. I don't know why you're so against it. You're so afraid
I'm
to
not
discuss
against it. I
race.
just don't.
This is what we need.
Hmm. I don't know about this. See,
As
you are
white
going to
people,
turn
it's
this into
our
the JonTron
job.
show, is what you're going to do over here.
No, I'm pro race. I think races are
Bro.
good.
Sure.
Anyway, I think we're pretty much done with this book, right?
Well, I mean, okay, so here's one thing we didn't talk about with him is that he is. So, one thing that did stand out to me on the subject of buff boys, right?
Mm,
Is that,
yeah,
Boris is, or was it says in here somewhere that he was, like, California state champion at wrestling at some point, which is
sure.
pretty crazy, like, that's good. Like
He's a buff boy.
wrestling yeah, California state high school champion wrestler in 1997, which, like, wrestling's like a real sport, right? Like, it's what like, there's actual competition there among high school level people. If you're getting to a state level in high school, you're probably pretty good, I think.
Yeah,
Okay, so you don't have any thoughts about that. To
yeah.
me, that feels impressive. I don't know as much about wrestling specifically. When I was competing in high school, I was competing in a sport that nobody knew about, and there was just nobody doing it. So, like, it was like, okay, it was easy to get to regionals, divisionals. I was good, so I got to nationals, but that doesn't mean in most like getting to nationals in climbing in 2006 was way less impressive than getting to states in something like swimming. And I presume wrestling is similar. Anyway, I guess what I'm saying is it feels like, yeah, he's legitimately like buff and good. And that's why we're always noticing how
Mm,
fucking buff he is.
mm. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
guy's an
Yeah. Yeah.
athlete.
My dad was a wrestler in high school.
Wow. How good was he? Did he get to states?
He did.
Wow. He must have been strong.
Yeah, he
Did
won.
he win states?
Yeah, he won.
Crazy.
Yeah. He actually, my dad is Hulk Hogan.
Wow. I'm fascinated.
Yeah. So, chapter 6, they talk about the animals.
Yeah, they sure do suck off the Bowmanville Zoo a lot in here.
Yeah, it is funny every time they bring up the Bowmanville Zoo, knowing that the Bowmanville Zoo was closed down for mistreating their animals.
Yeah. No, it's it's there's just lots of like, oh, and then the Animorphs was super they were super what's the word, ethical about how they treated their animals. And once the Bowmanville Zoo saw how ethical the show was, that's when they knew this was a show that they'd be willing to use their animals on. And of course, this what's his name, Michael whatever, when he had a calling to take care of animals, and he loved it, and it's all super good and nice and wonderful, and yeah, the fucking zoo got shut down for mistreating their animals.
Michael Hackenberger.
Michael Hackenberger. That's a joke
It's
name. It's
it's a
not a
very
real name.
funny book to read in hindsight.
What's
With
this?
hindsight.
The Ghost in the Darkness. They reference this movie Bongo was in multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll watch it on the Patreon. They do make the joke about working with kids and animals, which I think I at one point talked about that when we started talking about the show.
Right, right.
So I guess that's the most obvious thing you can say.
Yeah, I guess that kind of undercuts your joke.
I don't know. There's just a bunch of stories about the animals doing stuff. It's really not worth talking about to me. Is there anything else in
Yeah,
here that stands out?
they have a bunch of stories about some elephant limba, and they say you should
Oh,
watch out for
right.
an elephant in season 2 because there might be one.
Yes, they talk. There's like 5 pages on the tragic backstory of Limba the elephant.
Yeah, which we
It's
all know
weird.
Limba the elephant from the TV show.
It's like I thought that was the weirdest piece of filler in the book, and I'm like, do they know something? Is she gonna be in season 2, or are they just like, I better
if,
justify writing this shit?
if there's no fucking Limba in season 2, I'm gonna be mad.
We'll keep an eye out. I don't know if Hera actually is a boy, by the way, or if Christopher Ralph just
Ah,
used he to refer to it because he just like thinks all birds are boys and he doesn't know.
right, the gender neutral he. Yeah, that's fair, actually. Hera might be a girl then.
Yeah,
We don't
he's
know.
just like, they're all Tobias, so they're all he to me.
Sure, yeah.
I
It's a
did find
fucking
it
bird.
I did know they don't mention, they say Tobias is a red-tailed hawk, but we discovered online that the hawks in the show are not actually red-tailed hawks. They don't say that in here.
Yeah, they do not say that here.
They mostly just talk about how they're shitting all the time.
Right. Which is, that's fun, I guess.
There's a horse named Foxfire.
Yeah. Who sounds like a piece of shit. Nadia's all like, I'm more scared to work with this fucking horse because it's like chucking me off and kicking me. Which, to be fair, I may have said this on the show before. Horses are fucking big.
Yeah, they are.
Like
Mm,
for like
yeah,
a
I know.
domestic animal, it's like you see it
Yeah.
from the side of the road all the time. You're like,
Mm,
sure. And then
yeah.
it's like you walk up to one and you're like, you just have this thing in your fucking yard? What the fuck? It's huge.
Yeah, yeah.
And if the horse decides to be like
Huge
kind of an ass to you and throw you, which has happened to me with a person's horse,
with a
then you're
person.
like, fucking Christ, this thing could have just like killed me if it wanted to. What's wrong with this thing? Why do you keep this thing? Get
They
rid
should
of it.
dehoof it. Dehoof it.
You should dehoof it.
Yeah. It's safer.
uh,
Chapter 7,
anyway,
they discuss the special effects of the show.
yes, we learn. Well, first they tell us the rules of morphing, which feel like they come from the book and not from the show.
Yes, I think that is mostly true. I mean, the thing about having the animal mind, they do mention once in like the first episode, the first time they morph.
Yeah.
That's the only time. Morphing is very tiring. That doesn't seem to be true in the show.
I mean, even from the books, like, where are they getting these numbers? Animorphs should generally wait as much as an hour before morphing again, though Cassie, especially gifted at morphing, can sometimes do it in as little as 10 minutes.
Yeah,
Is that
they're
true
just
to any source?
they're just pulling that out of their ass. That's
Maybe they're over here like, well, they only morph once an episode, even the two-parters, so it must be
that's
once
how
an
they
hour, right?
justify it. That's
Yeah.
how they justify it.
Oh
Um,
god.
but you know, most of the rules are, I guess, the same as the book and correct.
Yeah. Although
Correct.
it is funny with the like huge bolded words. I don't
Yeah. This is the
once an
cool part of
animorph
the
has
book.
yeah, go for it.
This is if you're a kid, you're like, "Oh, I'm gonna like put these on my wall. Like these are the rules."
The
Like
rules, yeah.
you'd have this on a T-shirt, like the rules of morphing, you know,
Yeah, I
in
could
a
see
cool
that.
font. Um, you know, they go on about these special effects. It's not
Mhm,
very interesting. E- even thinking about it as a kid in the 90s who maybe didn't know how this stuff. I mean, at the time, like
mhm,
green screen was somewhat new.
mhm.
It wasn't something that was so ubiquitous like it is now. So them talking about green screen is kind of cool. But then a lot of it is like then we put the animal's face next to the person's face and then we like make them look like each other. It's not it's like yeah, no shit. Like
Yeah.
what did you think? Like they didn't do that? There's no real
Yeah, I mean,
revelation
like,
here.
it's obvious what they were doing, but it is you do read it and you go like, "Yeah, I mean, I guess they got a shot of the kid in the green screen. They have to get it to
Right.
pose like the animal." You know this is not modern green screen where they, like, track, the different parts of the person's face and then model them and then change the model from one to another. Like, no, they have to pose like the animal because otherwise they can't draw the transitions in manually. And
Yeah.
that means they gotta do the animal first, because animals don't fucking hold still for long enough to do it. So, like, I do read this and I go, "Yeah, this does sound like a huge pain in the ass."
Well, they actually cop to
Oh,
why why they why the morphing on the show is so lame.
yeah, they do.
They just straight up tell you like, well, the small animals are move around a lot, so that's why when you see them, you don't see them morph, and they're just kind
Yeah,
of sitting there.
yeah, the big animals, we can get them to hold still, but with the small animals, they just kind of fall behind a desk because, like, the rat just won't it's just moving around, we can't get it to
They
fucking
say that the human to Andalite morphs are the best looking ones because they don't have to like be a slave to what an animal looks like. They can do more interesting stuff, I guess.
mhm, mhm. I think they also do say, for season 2, they'd like to be able to morph an animal as it's moving, so we'll see if they manage to do that.
Yeah, that is what she says. Sue, the special effects person or
Mhm,
producer, I
mhm.
don't know what she is. They also talk about the music, which we've complained about, and it
Yeah.
says that it's under Sue's domain that to get the music just right. And the composer watches each episode and then creates original pieces.
I don't quite understand this. The composer watches each episode without any effects and goes to work creating original pieces, but first it says it falls under Sue's domain. So,
I
which
I
part is
guess
Sue's domain?
I guess she just tells him like in this scene it has to be like this.
Okay. Or like yeah, huh.
I guess. You know, producer stuff.
I guess, yeah. It's hard for me to parse what's going on, like who's doing what in this music thing, which was something I was interested in because I wanted to know who to blame in the future.
Yeah, I will blame Sue.
Okay.
Now, you may recall this book is supposed to be ostensibly about meeting the stars of Animorphs.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of took a break from that for a couple chapters because there's only so much you can do. But now chapter 8 is just like quick bios of all the actors again, which basically are mostly just regurgitating the same facts we already learned.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Except
mean,
like in quick bullet points, right? We got the
yeah.
name, birthday, eye color, parents,
r-
favorite music, favorite movie,
Yeah.
whatever shit.
They do say their favorite scary movies, which Christopher Ralph says Halloween Part 4.
I think it's only Christopher Ralph who has favorite scary movie.
I think there's at least one other, but he says his favorite actor is Johnny Depp. and
Of
Robert
course.
Duvall and Billy Bob Thornton, Leonardo. This is an actor's actor. He likes
Yeah,
these.
I think he did say that one of his hobbies was like renting movies.
Yeah, yeah. He also had for the advice section. Most of them had like one sentence. He has like
Yeah,
three paragraphs,
yeah,
much
yeah.
more detailed.
Good job, Christopher Ralph.
Brooks section is labeled Brooks Nook.
That's
the,
pretty fun.
the titles are pretty good. Rachel on the Reel. Well, they also say here that her nickname is Xena Warrior Princess has never happened in the show. Oh,
Yeah.
and this even more important. They say that her sisters are Sarah and Jordan.
Right. Yes.
We
That
have
sort of
never
thing.
seen a second sister in the show.
Her other nickname is Ms. Fashion, I guess. Is that true?
Sure. Yeah, sure. I call her that.
Yeah, why not?
She likes Buffy, Dawson's Creek, Candid Camera, 2020. After school snack, bagels, of course.
Board
When you
game
come from
Monopoly. How do
school,
you feel about that?
yeah, two people, I think her and Boris, they both said have a slot, board game Monopoly, which I don't know. Of course, I don't like that because Monopoly sucks. But like, why did they ask them what's your favorite board game? Why only those two?
Yeah, I mean, the implication is that those two brought up Monopoly as their favorite board game. Because or maybe they asked everybody, and the others all named a board game that nobody else had heard of, and they were like, "Fuck that! Kids don't
But
care
I
about
can't.
that."
In 1999, Monopoly was the only board game most people ever played. Like it was that or Scrabble. We
Yeah,
hadn't
I don't
like the
know.
board game boom of today wasn't it for like another 5 or 6 years. So I don't know what. Like who cares? Yeah, everyone plays fucking Monopoly. It's the only game in your fucking closet. Anyway,
I don't know.
I'm just trying to scroll. Oh yeah, yeah. Jake Shawn Ashmore says his favorite scary movies are Pet Cemetery and Candyman, and they spell cemetery correctly
Hmm.
in Pet Cemetery.
Well, that's not correct.
Right. That pissed me off. His favorite other movies are Saving Private Ryan and As Good as It Gets. I don't know why they ask them scary movies separately. It's weird.
Yeah, that is very strange. I really don't know. Some of these I mean, this is just so weird. What's your favorite drink? Coke or any kind of pop? Juice, milk, water? I'm not too
Boo.
picky about what I drink. But why is it here? Who gives a shit?
Yeah. It's so nothing. Midnight fridge raid, ham sandwich and a glass of milk. Wow, I can be just like Shawn Ashmore and get a ham sandwich and milk at midnight.
How about this one? Favorite clothes? Far from a clothes horse, Shawn does not admit to impulse
No, no,
buys of
does
jeans,
does
shirts.
admit. He does admit.
Oh, he does admit. Oh, I'm sorry. Well, he does admit to impulse buys of jeans, shirts, and jackets mostly. Regardless, it's fucking what the fuck? Who's writing
He
this?
buys jeans
He
sometimes.
he admits to doing it.
He does like X-Files and Seinfeld. That's cool.
Well, he used to like them, and now he's not sure.
Well, yeah, they would still be on the air. Actually, or no, Seinfeld might have just ended, actually. Maybe X-Files just ended too. Maybe they were both over, and that's why he said used to. Hmm.
Cassie.
Nadia's notes.
Oh, you're gonna skip over Cassie's corner. Lives on a farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nadia's notes here.
Um, is there anything? Her favorite actors: Tom Hanks, Denzel Washington, Harrison Ford, Jack Nicholson. Now, this I really liked.
Hmm.
Her favorite actresses, she says, Jodie Foster and Brooke Nevin.
Cassie's
That's
nice. She's
that's
nice.
sweet.
It
I
is.
like that.
That is
That's
nice.
cute.
I like that too.
Yeah, you gotta love that. That's great. That's cute.
Oh, okay. So this is the part where it talks about what Cassie likes in a guy. Yeah, first look at a guy, or I'm sorry, what Nadia likes in a guy. First look
Yeah.
at a guy. I love the way people walk, especially the way my boyfriend strides. And that whole smiling thing is a big plus. What keeps her interested? Personality. When they're funny. Funny and smart, I'm stuck.
I'm taking notes.
Yeah, I gotta get that stride right.
On our first date, she's going to be like, how's he nailing every remark? And then you see me under the table flipping through this book every time she asks me a question. She's like, oh, what do you like to do? I started as a sociology major, but now I want to study business. Oh, weird. That's what I wanted to do when I was 20. Oh, wow. This guy's really on my level. You
It
know?
makes you feel youthful again.
Read any good books lately? Yeah, I read Celestine Prophecy and The Land Where the Blues Began. What do we think Celestine Prophecy is? I don't know what that is.
The Land Where the Blues Began. I guess that's a different book.
That's probably about the blues.
Sure.
Celestine Prophecy is a 1993 fictional novel that explores spiritual and psychological concepts from New Age spirituality and ancient Eastern traditions.
Listen, she did say Cassie was a very spiritual person.
She likes New Kids on the Block, whatever. Meet Marco, Basic Boris.
What about Meet Marco? It says his mom's name is Laura.
Yeah, I think we knew that. I think that was on an IMDb or something.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
think we
weird.
talked about that.
When did his mom get named in the books?
It was not
you know
until a long time, because I remember you
Okay.
thought we knew her name and we didn't.
Okay, yeah, because I was thinking now I thought we knew her name, but I think you're right. I think it's not until fucking Visser or some shit.
I think it's before that, but it might not be till like the 30s or something. I don't know. It was like, I think it's like post David, maybe. I don't know. We can't find out.
Yeah, I'm not going to bother right now.
Seropedia. I'll figure it out.
They do list Boris's height. He is 5'6".
And that's the perfect, that's short enough to be
Yeah.
Marco.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, he looks short in the show, which is like what it should be, and it
Yeah.
works. That's not that's not some Lord of the Rings filmmaking.
Right. R.I.P. Wolfie.
Poor Wolfie.
Oh, well, okay, actually, this is funny. This is under the Boris section, but it says Marco's beloved German Shepherd Wolfie recently passed away. So,
See,
even
you
they
can't
screwed
blame
up.
me for fucking it up.
They forgot he's not Marco.
That's how good of an actor he is.
And once again, Buff Boy,
Mm-hmm.
he has an entire setup, a weightlifting setup in his parents' backyard. Why is it in their backyard? Outdoor weightlifting?
You don't want him making too much noise, clanking all those weights around.
That's so the girls
it
next door
outside.
can check him out in the backyard.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
His favorite movie is Scarface. Favorite TV show, Larry Sanders Show. He likes Ray Bradbury. It's cool.
Mm-hmm. Board game Monopoly.
Yeah.
He likes girls who are fit because he works out too. It's a priority.
Now, British people would think that just means they're hot. Because they're like, oh, that's a fit bird there, innit?
Right, that's how they talk.
That bird's right fit, innit? Oh, I go mental for that bird, mate.
Marco, Boris's self-description, I'm a happy person. How do you feel about that?
It's good. I wonder if they actually gave them this or if they just took like, the 2 hours of interviews and scraped through it for like, he said something. That could be a bullet point. Sure. He said I'm a happy person once, so that's his description.
That's what I'm guessing because they do not all have the same bullet points.
Yeah. That's basically the end of the book, except there is the information station.
I do think it's very funny that in Alien Facts, a glossary of terms, they define Aximili Escaruth Isthil. Because you wouldn't have any idea who the fuck that was reading this book.
That is the one mention of Axe. He is in the glossary in the back where they give you terms from Animorphs. They also mention that Hork-Bajir are peaceful, which is something you wouldn't know if you only watched the show.
Yeah. I don't know, man. A lot of these in the back feel like they're working off of the books, except on the rare occasions when they have stuff from the show. Like Victor Trent.
Yeah. They have a little blurb about merch you can buy, t-shirts, stuff we're going to talk about in future episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And they also tell you where you can write a letter to Nickelodeon and it will be forwarded to the actor you choose. They're
Wow, we
encouraging
should do
people
that.
to. Yeah, we should. You think that's still in effect?
I wonder.
Yeah. That's the book.
Yeah. Would you like the
Now,
last sentence?
yeah.
While on Earth, Visser 3 poses as Victor Trent, a powerful and wealthy businessman. The end. All
This isn't
done.
the kind of. You're not reading this cover to cover. You're like looking through for where you want to find the
Right.
tidbits as you reread it to make your fan site. Now okay, so we finished the book, but the episode is not over yet
Jesus.
because in the back there's an ad for the series on VHS. They just started putting out these episodes on VHS tapes.
Mm-hmm.
And I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole because they say special collector's edition featuring exclusive never before seen footage.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at so many places trying to figure out what the fuck is that footage. I couldn't find anyone talking about it until I found on YouTube someone actually did rip some of these full VHS tapes with the commercials and everything. Which I was very excited. It was like I felt like I was discovering lost media.
Wow.
By the way, the commercials at the beginning of the Animorphs first VHS tape are very weird. One of them, I was really confused. I still don't understand if there was a mistake. One of the trailers at the start of the Animorphs tape is for Ghostbusters. Like,
Is it like a new so I looked at these, but I like skipped to the new footage. I didn't really look at the any of the
oh, you missed off. You missed out, I mean.
yeah, I
You
missed
missed
out.
off.
It's not like for like a new home video release or some shit.
That's what I kept waiting for, like returning to theaters this summer or now on DVD for the first time. No, it was just straight up at the end said Ghostbusters coming soon. Like it was the original Ghostbusters trailer in 1999.
They just never printed it for VHS before, I guess. I don't know.
But
That can't be
it
right.
didn't say coming soon on VHS. It just said coming soon. Like as if it were a new movie. I'm like, did they like accidentally splice in a different tape? It was bizarre. One of the other ones had a deep dive behind the scenes on Stuart Little. Thought that was pretty fun.
That's kind of cool.
There was a Godzilla. One of the first tape had an ad for the Godzilla movie on VHS, the Matthew Broderick one. The second one had an ad for the Godzilla cartoon.
Oh
Thought
wow,
that was
I
fun
completely
too.
forgot that existed.
Yeah. Now, not the
Maybe I have to go back
Gadzuki
and watch
one.
these.
Yeah, the WB one. Now, anyway, we did discover this footage,
Mm-hmm.
and at the beginning and end of these tapes, they have a little like confessional video with one of the Animorphs talking to the camera, basically doing the shtick from the book where
Yeah.
he's saying, "I can't tell you my name. This is all real," kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the first, I don't know if there's more on YouTube. I only caught the first two tapes. In the first one, the beginning and end are both Shawn Ashmore as Jake. The second
Mm-hmm.
one starts with Rachel, and then Tobias does the outro, or maybe it's vice versa. I I thought that these, honestly, at least Jake's was like some of the best acting and most engaging thing I've seen from this show. Him just like talking to the camera and being very intense.
Mm-hmm.
It had a very immediate kind of appeal to it that I was like, oh, I'm interested in what this guy has to say. Holy shit, this is all real. This town is real. This is kind of cool. I liked it more than the show.
I don't know if I would say I liked it more than the show, but it was pretty decent. There were a couple points in like Jake's outro where it was a little bit like I don't know. He had a couple too many like like naturalistic type of things in there.
It
But I
doesn't
don't
feel
know.
like
It
they
was
had a
fine.
script. What they
Yeah.
feel like is an audition tape. It feels like they
Yeah.
had to mail in an audition tape and they just used that.
Maybe this is their audition tapes.
But I don't know, it feels I like that it
Mhm.
felt natural, kind of. It felt more I
That's fair.
believed those characters there more than I think I have on the show. Like, it was I don't know, it was kinda good, and I don't know if the other ones, because I don't remember I think there's a bunch of these tapes, or at least, like,
Mhm.
6 or 7, so, like, did they have that for every single one? Was there unique stuff, or do they repeat them? I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, maybe we can find them.
Maybe we can find them. This led me on multiple other rabbit holes. As you know, I sent you some of these things.
Mhm.
Um, one of which I was also looking at the reviews of this VHS tape on Amazon,
Mhm.
which was just interesting because you see a lot of them from the time period, and you see how divided. Like, a lot of people saying this sucks because they're fans of the books, and other people saying it's a different thing from the books. You have to accept it as it is. It's actually good. And as one person, I believe, said this show is the worst thing to happen to Animorphs since book 54. So that also gives you an idea of
Yeah, I can't
what people
really get
thought of
behind
at the
that.
time.
Yeah.
But like at the time, that was the prevailing. People had just
Mhm.
hated it. They hated that ending. um, there's um, there's one review here that I shouldn't read, but there is one.
Mm.
Maybe I won't read it.
I mean, is it spoilers? Is that the problem?
No, the problem is it's like homophobic. I thought it was funny because its representative was written in 2010. And
It's
it's
pretty
based.
late.
I know, but it's just this guy being like, man, like he's Jake in this show has a really gay looking haircut. And he says basically he uses gay as a pejorative
Uh,
like 6 times in this review, and I'm like, there's no way this guy isn't closeted and ashamed. It just has to be,
2010's a
right?
little bit late for that sort of thing.
It's a little late, but not as late as you
Yeah.
think. We
No, no, no.
were
I am aware of the time frames on that. It's only a little
yeah.
late.
Yeah, especially because I don't know how old this person was when they wrote this review.
That's true
Um,
too.
they also said that Rachel and Cassie were converted to bimbos by the idiot writers.
Bimbos. Yeah, that also feels like a little
And
something's going on with this guy.
this guy's on an MRA site now. um,
This does sound like a really good review, though. I'm really enjoying the description.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I don't know what this means. He says Visser 3 is now a bald idiot who also looks really gay.
Is
putting
this guy like
r-
fucking
putting
working out the script for his like early YouTube angry review videos? Like, I want to, I want to be on the nostalgic critic or some shit. I gotta see what the Amazon reviews think of my script first.
yeah, he says Visser 3 puts Rob Halford to shame.
I don't even know who that is. What is that?
I just looked it up. He's the singer from Judas Priest. Was he
What?
gay? Why does he
Yeah,
say
what?
that? I don't know. Oh, well, he is bald. Is that
Because
what he
he's
means?
bald? Yeah, he sure doesn't have any hair. Wow. Jesus.
They
Who
ruined the
made that
character.
decision? The most important thing about Visser 3 is that he has fur. Listen, they made the Andalites extra furry to make up for it.
Anyway, shout out to user Renfield on Amazon. Go check out his reviews. He's written a lot of reviews for Doctor Who. He might be British. Sherlock. He gave 4 stars to Anchorman 2. The fuck? Okay.
I'm glad this is in the episode. This is an important part of the deep dive.
Anyway, then deeper dive. We got to bring it back to scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
First, I found an interview with Shawn Ashmore where he talks about Animorphs. Most of it was pretty inconsequential. But he says the thing that jumped out at me, he says that the show Animorphs didn't even air in Canada.
He does say that, but it doesn't seem like that's true. I feel
Well-
like he just doesn't remember it.
Well, so here's what he says is that in Canada, they did not have Nickelodeon, which is true.
Right. Yes.
Now, in Canada, they had another network called YTV, which
Mhm.
I think they did air some Nickelodeon stuff on it. Maybe that's
Mhm.
not true. But yeah, I don't know. He's under the impression that it never aired in Canada. Wouldn't he know?
I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure he would. Like, you're talking I mean, this interview is old, but, like, 15 years out, the actor on the show does not necessarily know anything about the distribution or the fan reception to it. Like, those memories are all gonna get muddled. I have seen interviews with actors where they just get shit entirely wrong because it's like, "Man, that was a decade ago, I don't fucking remember." But I think I remember.
I don't know. It kind of, to me, it lends evidence to the possibility that the discrepancies in air dates is not from US to Canada, but just because everyone's just wrong.
I mean, these Reddit threads that you linked give better evidence to that, and they do seem to both imply that that it did air in Canada.
Hmm. Yeah, there is another. So there's this 3-year-old thread on the Animorphs subreddit that I then discovered.
Yes, which references another one that's also kind of interesting about
Hmm.
episodes being out of order. So I'm in kind of both of these here.
Okay, I didn't look at that one. But yeah, it's right where we are. They asked, like, was there really a year-long wait between the episode we just watched and what's the next episode that's
Hmm.
ostensibly the premiere of season 2? And they're like, it seems like maybe there was, but maybe there wasn't, and nobody really knows. Some people say that they think that all 3 of Face Off just aired as season 2 or something, right? It's
Yeah,
very
this
confusing.
seems to be the standard that people are saying that. Now, it does feel like this person is saying that from what they've seen, every site and every source is definitely wrong. Um, Other than this says two sources that do agree, Wikipedia listings for the Canadian air dates, which as I recall, I couldn't tell which of those were which because it was anyway. The Wikipedia listings for the Canadian air dates agree 100% with the dates listed on TVDB. Note those aren't world premiere dates because a handful of episodes debuted earlier in the US. So it,
Hmm.
it does feel like they might have aired in Canada, but they might not have aired in the same order in Canada as the US, and they might not have like going by one or the other might not give the worldwide premiere date. A number of people in this thread seem to confirm that Face Off was aired all as one block a year later, and so that might be the American thing. But what I seem to glean for sure from this is that like the official Nickelodeon site was wrong, the official Scholastic site was wrong, like provably definitively wrong, and all of the sources don't agree with each other.
Yeah. Should we even bother saying the air dates anymore? It's meaningless.
Yeah, like I wanted to know kind of where we were in this series, but it's just like it doesn't get us anywhere. And this other thread that they link on Reddit, um, this person is asking they're saying the episodes are out of order on Amazon Prime Video, and they're saying it feels like nobody knows what the right order for these things is either. Right? Like they aired in a different order in Canada than in America, and I don't know if there's an official order. Somebody on here says that in Canada they aired them in production order, which is correct. But then I look at the production order and I'm like, no, that's definitely not correct. Like I was paying attention to that, and there's stuff that's weirdly out of order. So I don't have any idea. Like it's a disaster, whatever it
Man.
happened here.
I mean, if the folks at the Animorph subreddit didn't get to the bottom of this, no one's gonna. Like, what are we?
Yeah.
I don't know. How do we figure this out? By the way, this thread is made by a friend of the show, Torrential with a 7.
Oh shit. Torrential, get in here and tell us what the fuck's going on.
I don't know if Torrential actually has listened to the show, but they used to comment on the season episodes.
This is where you need to come in and make a new topic and be like, Torrential, I
Right.
need you. I need
Yeah,
you, man.
I can't necro this thread
Right.
because it's an old thread.
And I mean that's the other issue is that they say Wikipedia stuff is wrong, but it's 3 years out of date, so presumably it's been updated. I don't it's a
Hmm.
disaster, whatever's happening.
It's so strange. Like, why is this so hard to pin down? It doesn't seem that complicated. When did they air? There has to be a record of it
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like the sources from the time all misreported when things were airing, and everything aired out of order anyway. Like nobody at the show knew when their own show was airing, and nobody who told anybody when shows were airing knew when they were. It's so strange.
Maybe this is common for just every Nickelodeon show from this era. Maybe Animorphs is not unique. Maybe they just never kept records of this shit because nobody cared.
I don't know. I've got to
Well,
find out.
we haven't solved anything. We haven't answered any questions. But we did meet the stars of Animorphs.
We met them. We know all about them now.
And that's going to really give us a lot of fuel to discuss things going into the final season of Animorphs. We're really excited about it. If you've got thoughts or opinions about any of this, you want to, if someone maybe has Hispanic or Latino heritage and you want to explain to us the difference and what you'd prefer, or if you have a thought about bagels, or I don't know, if
Buff
you've been in a
boys.
gang. Yeah, buff boys.
Do you like it when your partner is nice and funny? Is
Yeah, do
that
you like
something you're
that?
into, or is that kind of you're not into that?
Yeah. Email us, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. Check out our Patreon, patreon.com/theyerkyboys. We discuss Animorphs adjacent content. This week, we're going to be looking at the film The World's End. Should be a fun time.
Hmm.
So that's patreon.com/theyerkyboys. You can check that out. Man, imagine what it must have been like to be one of these kids. You only had like a year to enjoy it, but what a year to be living on your own in Toronto as a star of a show that you thought would be a hit, living the life. You're young, your whole life's ahead of you. You like nice girls. What a fucking time to be alive.
Bongo.
You can follow me online, jonathanestes.com, as well for my other projects.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about season 2, episode 1, Face Off Part 3 on the Yerky Boys.